With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Good evening and welcome to the Precision Racing League GT3 series for round 3 of this championship. We've made our way over to the Far East and Fuji for 2 races here at this 16-corner racetrack. Very challenging indeed, of course, in the shadow of the famous Mount Fuji. So far, Mercedes have taken 4 wins out of 4, so let's see if they can take another couple here tonight. My name is Ewan O'Leary. I'm alongside Joey Tebben for this one here tonight. Round 3, Joey, we've had great fun over the first 2 weeks. It's time to go racing in the GT3s once again at a new circuit, of course.
A very new circuit, literally the newest road course on iRacing, or one of the 2 newest road courses on iRacing. So the drivers might have been able to practice a little bit over the last couple weeks, but it is a very new circuit. Nobody truly knows it as well as they can, and that could be a way to even out the playing field. But as usual, the top drivers, they kind of know how to drive every single track on the service, and so far it seems like some familiar names up top.
It certainly is. Let's see where we've come from and where we're yet to go here in this GT3 series. Obviously, we've had the Hockenheim and Long Beach openers. We're back after Independence Day weekend in America, so Fuji is on the schedule for the 5th of July here tonight. Then we've got Watkins Glen and Montreal over the next couple of weeks, a trip to the northeast, North America, I should say, and then the rest of the schedule, as you can see down there, 10 rounds on this schedule, and it should be good indeed. A couple of ones to pick out, I suppose. The main ones you'd circle probably Long Beach, Fuji, and Sandown as maybe ones to be worried about. We're getting 2 out of the way by the end of tonight, but I know you're still a little bit worried about Sandown here, Jerry, later on in the season.
Yeah, that place is going to be difficult to pass. You thought it was difficult to pass at Long Beach. Sandown is going to be a very different playing field from the rest of the circuits. But let's take a look at the championship standings as well. From the first couple weeks, it's been all Danik Van Daly. 2
certainly
wins
has.
on the trot, and everybody else trying to chase him down.
Absolutely. These are the fixed series standings, by the way. You'll see the Open Series, the Sprint Series, if you like, the Sprint Series that comes a little bit later on when we get to that. But as you say, Danik van Daele has been dominant so far, picking up the maximum 38 points from both of the first 2 rounds. Alec Bergstrom's second place in both of those races, picked up a bonus point for limiting his incident points through the first part of the last race, so he's not 11 points away, rather than the 12. Then it's Adam Brockway in third place ahead of Dave Peterson. Brockway, by the way, just topped that practice session, so he'll be one to watch there from third in the standings. Van Daele is certainly the man to watch here, though, Joey, as you just said there. 2 wins out of 2, maximum 38 points out of the first 2 as well. Fuji coming up a little bit more difficult for him, but he seems to be able to tackle anything based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, week 1 he won at Hockenheim, which is a grade 1 style F1 circuit. Last week he won at Long Beach, a very tight streak at circuit, and now we're back at a grade 1 style, a track that has hosted F1 in the past, a high-speed circuit. Not a lot of runoff, but more runoff than Long Beach, and we'll see if he can tackle it, and this could be the week that somebody else takes him down, as we saw in practice. He was only 4th.
It certainly could. Let's have a look at some of the sponsors that make this series possible then. Starting, of course, with VCO, who are broadcast partners here at RaceSpotTV, bringing to you every single Precision Racing League event in the 2022 season for Season 3 here. We're very happy to be alongside them and broadcasting this great series to you. Next, of course, is Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the code PRECISION5. RaceLab helps to improve your driving skills. With model overlays, race statistics and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Bookkicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driving seat. And finally, NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides an award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Those are the sponsors that make this series possible here, of course, in the GT3 Fixed Series and the Sprint Series coming up a little bit later on. It's great to be here for RaceSpotTV and Precision Racing League here in 2022, in Season 3, of course, and we've had a great time so far. Lots to look forward to as well over the coming weeks. We're in the early parts of the qualifying session at the moment, still 6 minutes to go here, so there's still plenty of time for this to change, Joey, but once again, Adam Brockway is showing himself to be the man around here.
He is, and he does not have a win so far this season in either series he races in. He races here in the GT3 Fixed Series and on Mondays in the GT4 Sprint Series. He didn't get to race yesterday because it was a 4th of July Canada Day off week, but he's back in this GT3 car and at the top in practice and at the top here in qualifying so far. He seems to be the man to beat, which is very interesting. That's not been the way the first couple races of this season have gone, but there's still 8 rounds left, and Adam Brockway clearly thinks that it is more than early enough to turn this season around. Absolutely.
Just in case you were wondering, by the way, why we didn't have any broadcasts of the Precision Racing League over the weekend for here on RaceSpotTV. Of course, it was Independence Day weekend in America, and I hope you all had a very nice time. But we were off in terms of the racing here at the PRL, so everybody can enjoy their weekend a little bit. But we're back to it here with the GT3s tonight. This will be the first series to actually reach its climax at the Nürburgring when we get there at the end of the season. And then we'll get to it with the final series enders with the GT4s coming up a little bit later on in the week. On the Monday, that will be the final race for them of their season. We'll have the usuals returning, those GT4s as you just mentioned there, Joey, on the Monday night, and the NASCAR series will return on Sunday night this weekend as well. So make sure you tune in for both of those here on RaceSpotTV. There on the bottom right hand side of your screen is Eric Luke here, and he has not had the best luck so far this season. I think it's fair to say, Joey, it's been just a tale of woe for him so far. Hopefully this is the moment where he gets his season really on track.
Yeah, he's had no luck whatsoever, and that's not from a lack of trying, it's not from a lack of speed. He's had so much speed. He's been fighting for whether it's the top 10 or the top 5 in every single race so far, but he has just had no luck. He's been taken out and this could be the race where he finally turns that around. He has had speed in practice. I don't recall where he was exactly in practice, but it was in the top 4, and he's going to bring it across the line, and it is tracking to be a good lap. I don't know if it's going to be good enough for pole. Yeah, 3rd place for Eric Luke, so that's the speed he's had. The question is, can he keep it off the runoff or keep some other cars from hitting him?
Just look how close it is, though. The top 4 separated by 900ths of a second, and the championship leader and the man who's been sweeping up all the points so far, Danik Van Dale, has not got into the top 4 at the moment. There he is out there at the moment, a quarter of a second away, and you'd think that would give him a front row start, maybe a second row start at worst, but at the moment it's putting him on the inside of the 3rd row alongside Michael Terrafino in the 94 car. So it's not particularly great for the championship leader at the moment, but there's still time for him to pull this one back. 3 minutes, of course, and every driver here in this series gets 4 laps to do in qualifying. That's the same for the GT3 Sprint Series that we'll be seeing a little bit later on. But Van Dale has got some work to do here. He crosses the line there with a 38.8 over the line on that occasion. It's not quite good enough. We look at Alec Bergstrom at the moment. He's in the final sector. He'll be looking to get up towards the front, and have to say, this final sector is really, really tricky. The amount of late apexes and blind corners, blind apexes you have to grab around here in this final sector, it makes it exceptionally difficult.
It's horrifically difficult, and it was extremely difficult when I was driving that last sector in the F3 series a couple weeks ago. And think of the amount of downforce, the small amount of weight that those cars have. Think about lumbering a GT3 car through all those weird camber changes, all those elevation changes, the late apexes. It is a very difficult last sector, but clearly Alec Bergstrom's found a way to master it, but not quite as masterful as Adam Brockway. There's only 13 thousandths of a second between them, and that is a frustrating gap to try and make up.
Yeah, you've got to think about it as well. In terms of those F3 cars you mentioned, obviously that opened the F3 season, in case you weren't aware, that runs on Thursday nights here on RaceSpotTV and PRL. You can see a bit where you're going in terms of these blind apexes. Look at Brockway here. He's searching for this apex on the right-hand side. I know our camera angle is not exactly a driver's eye view, but you can't see that apex at all as we're riding on board through there. It's just so tricky through that final sector. Adam Brockway seems to be mastering it, though, as you say. He's short shifting a little bit up the straight right now, so he's just completing this lap as a formality more than anything else. He won't be going any faster. And just see there, though, Eric Luke has gone a bit quicker. He goes up to 3rd place. He ties with Fred Galini, but he must be being put up front by tens of thousandths of a second by the looks of things, because he has been given the 3rd place, despite the fact he set that time after Fred Galini. So just illustrating how close it is at the moment. 1/4 of a tenth of a second cover the top 2 rows right now.
And on the topic of trying to find that apex, as Alec Bergstrom goes through the most difficult corner on the track, that last corner, it may be a fixed setup series within the simulator, but it's not a fixed setup series in terms of drivers' equipment. So drivers with a single monitor, with a different FOV, a field of view, they're going to have a more difficult time than a driver who might have a 3rd monitor that he can look to the right on, or maybe even be in VR where you can physically turn and see the apex. So that's another difference that can really help you, and just like in real life, equipment does matter, and equipment can find you those couple extra hundredths that you need.
It certainly can. And we'll be seeing a lot more of that as well from some of the cameras that we've got on these guys up and down the field. We've already seen it from Eric Luke. We'll try and show you those throughout the day. As Danik Van Dale is trying to get himself really accustomed to this circuit. I'm not convinced he's going to make the line here, and he isn't. 10 seconds to go, and there's more than 10 seconds left on this lap time, so the 11 car of Danik Van Dale is going to run out of time here to set this lap time, I think. Over the line he goes. Or ticking down we go. And there we go, yep. The time ticking down rather than him crossing the line. He doesn't cross the line. It's we'll never know whether that was enough or not. However, it doesn't really matter. He'll be on the inside of the 3rd row, as we're about to see here as we go through the grid here in a few moments' time for this 35-minute race at Fuji in the Precision Racing League GT3 Fixed Series, the 3rd round of this great championship. And it's a bit of a surprise what we've had here in qualifying. Adam Brockway and Alec Bergstrom are going to be sharing the front row together ahead of Eric Luke and Fred Galini. Danik Van Dale in 5th, 4 different manufacturers, by the way, on those front 2 rows. Remarkable to see in this series. Rodrigo Morales rounds out those top 3 positions. In 7th, it's Andre Bernardi. He got in front of Michael Terrafino quite late on. Eric Dubé will be sharing with Roy Brown to round out the top 10, with Dave Peterson, another Ferrari, 11th, ahead of Philippe Magnan. In the 12th position, Sean Carbony will be 13th, ahead of Blake Ziti. Mateus Aranga will be rounding out the top 15 with Mark File in 16th. Dale Pedersen will be 17th alongside Spencer Semkowicz, on the 9th row of the grid. Baron Glover and Baron Hilton will be sharing the 10th row. Carl Streichert will be just outside that top 20 alongside Jean-Francois Champagne in the 22nd place. Don Bowden 23rd, ahead of Ryan Chandler in 24th. Then in the 25th place is Glenn Vanko ahead of Andrew Ellis. Ryan Luna will be 27th ahead of Regan Chandler. Then it's Jason Burmeister and Sean DeHamel rounding out the top 30. And we're still going, by the way. 4 more rows to go here. Mark Bray and David Boucher alongside each other. And then Matthew Gagnon is in 33rd. Carlos Lopez 34th ahead of Brian Hoskins. Donald Olsen is 36th ahead of Jim Fitzpatrick. And Russell Elinzodo in the 38th position. It is a quite frankly huge grid here. Let's hope they all get through turn 1 safely, because that is a real pinch point.
And a real pinch point as well is the turn 10 we just saw them dive into. It's a short pace lap, so not much time to prepare yourself, not much time to warm up the tires, but that's going to be a pinch point. That tight hairpin, a great passing zone, and then through these final couple of corners, the most difficult part of the track. One mistake can open the door for another driver to take advantage there, so look for a lot of your overtakes through this final sector.
It is going to be very exciting indeed. Through the final corner they're going to go, and it's a long, long way before we get to the straight. We just saw it there with Danik Van Dale trying to get to the line. You can barely see the start line out in the distance there. It's a long, long way away, the timing line here, so we've got a long time to wait and a long time to get nervous for this turn 1. It's a very, very sharp corner, and you do really want to be on the inside if you want to be in first, ideally, because you can avoid all the chaos in that way. But 38 cars, it's going to be a real melee down in towards turn number 1. However, we did think the same at Long Beach on lap 1, and it wasn't particularly until we got to lap 2 and 3 where we really saw the chaos. Adam Brockway goes early then, and a remarkable start in the background for one of Ferrari's inside line of 3 wide there for what is about 6th position, but no slipstream at all and no straight line speed. As we get the green flag at Fuji, it's Brockway from Bergstrom single filing it out into turn number 1. Eric Luke is on the inside of Fred Galini there for 4th, and the top 5-6 positions are going to stay the same. It's side by side between Michael Terrafino and Eric Dubé, who looks to be the one who has got a really rocketing start on the front row there. He's pushed down to 8th as they sort themselves out and go through turn 3 in the long but 100R at turn 4 and 5. However, everybody looks like they've got through cleanly, at least in the first 10 or 15.
Philippe Magnan in that first Portillo's car making a move to the inside. Well done there. And on the topic of that blue Ferrari of Eric Dubé, I don't know if that was a jump start or not. I think he gave all the positions back before the line. I don't know if it'll be a penalty, but that was a little bit of a jump from Eric, and I guess we'll see this first time around if he did get a penalty for that. I'm not sure if he did, but it was quite a jump.
It was a real big jump. There he is on the right-hand side of Danik Van Dale, who's almost ushering him away with his cut. There he is. Look, we're not even at the line yet, and he's already ahead of the third row on the grid. He started row 4 or 5. So the disadvantage he had, of course, is that he pulled out and had no slipstream at all, whereas everyone else did, running down towards turn number 1. So he did lose out a little bit in the straight line speed state. And he does get the drive-through penalty. You forecasted that perfectly. He's into the pit lane here by the looks of things. Doesn't look like he's got great straight line speed actually, but it won't really matter now. It's a long day of recovery from him for him from here.
It is a long day, but if drivers fall out, he will continue to move his way forward, and this will be a drive-through. It won't be a penalty where he's able to stop in his box, so he's going to have to drive through, and later he's going to have to make another stop, go even further down, and it is not the way Eric Dubé wanted to start this race, and it's not a great race for another one of the Ferraris, but it is a great race for his fellow Eric Ferrari, Eric Luke, holding off our championship leader. And in whatever happened on that start, Luke and Danik Van Dale have made it ahead of Fred Galini, so there's a little bit of shuffling up front. as the Portillo's car's still on the attack. A lot of racing going on in the top 10 here, Ewan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Terrafino trying to get through on Rodrigo Morales at the moment. Roy Brown in the background there made his way through recently, on Dave Peterson, but he's now coming under pressure from his fellow Ferrari once again. Maybe down the inside here for the 35, but not able to make that way down the inside. Philippe Magnan also made his way ahead of Sean Carmody there into turn 1 last time around, I think. The two of them exchanging, or at least battling over those positions, just in and around the latter portion of the top 10. We're into the final tricky section, of course, at the final few corners. This left-hander, of course, is the penultimate one at turn 15, and then we get into 16, very late apex through there. Trying to go up the hill here and just grab that late apex and then get the best run possible onto this main straight. Of course, harmed slightly by those orange sausage curbs horizontal to the racetrack there, which don't help you out particularly, but they are designed to make sure you stay within the track limits. As Danik Van Derle picks up a bit of a slipstream into turn number 1 here. He breaks a little bit later than Eric Luke, who slightly comes over on him, tries to just hold him off, but Van Derle will not be denied, and he makes his way up into third position after only a few laps.
That was a late move, but nothing wrong with that. He found the gap. Luke did know he was there, might have been a little bit late, but he gave him the room, and Danik Van Derle way later on the brakes, way quicker through turn 1, and look at how far he's already pulled from Luke. Although Luke switched it back there into the hairpin. That's what can happen through 100R. You get a little bit ahead of yourself, and you lose it in the second half of the corner. And Luke knows that that's happened. And look at him, he's back on the attack, and I wonder, is he going to send another one to the inside in turn 10? Do what Danik did to him at turn 1. Oh, he thought about it, but no, he's going to think better of it and stick behind him here through this tight section of the track.
Yeah, 100R is one of those corners that you never feel like you're quite doing right, because whatever you do just feels a bit slow. But there is of course a correct way of doing it. Danik Van Derle didn't quite do it on that occasion, and Eric Luke didn't quite do turn 13 correctly there. Just for seeing him out wide on those sausage curbs again that I was talking about, the yellow ones just running horizontal to the circuit. As Fred Galini makes his way down the inside of the final corner. It's always a risky dive. Those late apexes, the cars come back for the apex, of course, and Fred Galini had his car there. There was maybe a hint of contact between the two, but they get away with it, and they run down the straight nose to tail once again. It's always a risk, but as you said earlier, that final sector does open itself up to those kind of dives and those kind of overtakes.
It does, and that was a little bit less open than I think Galini thought it was, but side by side with the two teammates, Morales and Benatti, not going to race each other too hard. Benatti gets through, and these two Mercedes, they've got to figure out a way to work together, because they've got Roy Brown, they've got Dave Peterson, two hungry Ferraris behind them, and if they keep fighting, if they keep switching back and forth, it's going to put them both in danger. But it looks like Benatti does have the speed. He's a lot quicker than his teammate, and he's going to start running away and I guess just leave Rodrigo on his own here.
Yeah, Morales is struggling badly on this opening in these opening moments, and through here comes Roy Brown. No idea what's happening to Morales here in the 2-2-3. Had a really good Hockenheim event, not so good at Long Beach, unfortunately. Didn't score too many, well, he scored more points, but he wasn't very visible in that race, I have to say. And now he's struggling very much early on in this one. Not entirely sure if there's any real reason for this at the moment. He just seems to not have that car hooked up particularly right now, and he's causing a bit of a train behind him.
It's just not an easy track to master, and when you get out of the groove, when you get out of the rhythm, he might be a little bit spooked by the fact that his teammate's just running away from him. It's very difficult to get back in that rhythm, especially in a rhythm section like this last sector. We have to look back at the 75 Ryan Chandler. This is another train. It's a Porsche train, unlike the Mercedes train ahead. And you can think about diving into the inside through the final corner, but he elects not to, and Chandler is going to be on the attack on Ellis here down the front straight, and there he is. He can see that green Porsche right in front of him. But the question is the Mercedes fast enough in a straight line to even catch him to be able to make a move?
Well, he's going to have the help of the slipstream in a very long straight indeed to do it as well. Bit of defence, middle of the road for the Porsche, and then back to the racing line. Chandler might think about a dive here, and it is on, but he decides to lift off before the corner and not really go for it. Saw there, by the way, Fred Galini getting through and Eric Luke. Very well, he's actually made the overtake stick by the looks of things in that fourth position. But we're riding on board here with the 75 here, looking at Ryan Chandler at work at the moment. It does look like he's on a single screen display at the moment, which, as you said earlier, might provide a bit of a disadvantage here of all circuits, as well as I guess circuit in the Americas with that final little stadium section, if you like, might provide a bit of a disadvantage. Not on this calendar, by the way, but if they were to race there. Yeah, it's one of those circuits where a triple screen or a very wide screen might just be an advantage.
And here's how Galini, he was already ahead of Luke, and here he is on the inside. Same move that Danik Van Daly made. Luke is just opening up the inside of turn 1. Didn't open it quite as much for Galini there, but Fred found his way through. Luke just not late enough on the brakes in 1 to hold back the others. I don't know what else he can do. It could be a difference in the braking distances between the Ferrari and the Audi, but when it's that different, I think that's just a difference in driver ability in the braking zone. And Eric Luke has got to figure out a way to just brake a little bit deeper, or else he's got a hungry train of cars behind him. We're going to do exactly the same thing that's been happening to him.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, to be fair though, it doesn't quite look like he has the pace to stick with those guys at the moment. They've just Morales with these, but Brown can't find his way through. And now Dave Peterson is going to fancy his chances. He wants to go, so he'll try and make his way around the outside at turn 1, but Roy Brown defends actually very well into that corner through turn 2, which is a bit of a nothing corner, and he looks like he has held on from his fellow Ferrari, but this is really becoming a big train and a very entertaining battle, I have to say. But Rodrigo Morales is going to be delighted that Brown is under such pressure here, because it means that the pressure is lifted off of his shoulders just ever so slightly.
It has been lifted off his shoulders, but if these guys stop fighting, if Roy Brown can find a way to get away from Dave Peterson, the battle, as instantly as it's fallen apart, is back on. But it doesn't look like that's happening, because Roy Brown is all over the place through the first half of the lap, and Dave Peterson's going to have a shot to send it down to the inside in turn 10. We saw Brown have a little bit of trouble here in the background on the last lap, but he's far cleaner that time, and Peterson doesn't find a way through, and the train continues, and it's only getting longer.
It is, people catching on from behind. It's a real rate of knots at the moment. So Morales is in, 8th place at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap up towards the front. Spencer Semkowicz is the latest car latest driver to get involved. He's 16th at the moment, so that's a 9-car train. You can just see the Porsche and some of the camera shots in the background here. It is a train that's growing as off the road goes Philippe Magnan in the Porsche. You can just see how damaging those yellow sausage curbs can be by the lengths he just went to try and avoid them. They will really damage a car.
They'll destroy the floor. They'll find a way to destroy just about anything. And that is why you saw Philippe Magnan go off into the distances of the asphalt. He rejoined. He had a little bit of extra speed, but you saw him. He just had to serve a slowdown penalty down the front straight, and that allowed Sean Carmody to get through. And now Magnan continues to fall. I would almost think he had damage, but he didn't hit the sausage curbs. He might still be serving that slowdown penalty.
Yeah, I think he just about cleared it into turn number 1 there, but he's still under pressure from Blake Ziti. And now Aranga is just on the outside line of him. It's a very long way around 100R, so I'd be impressed if he manages this, but he nearly gave it a go there. Maybe it will have a dive into 6, but doesn't choose to have a lunge down the inside at the Audi just for the moment. It's a very narrow line for Mark File there in the BMW. One of the front-running BMWs actually in this race, not having a particularly successful day by the looks of things, unfortunately. Other than Adam Brockway, of course, who's leading the race, but he's pretty much on his own out there in terms of the BMWs. This is where the real entertainment is, though, in the field. Not that the gaps at the front of the field are very large. The gap is only about just over a second between Adam Brockway and Alec Bergstrom. I think Van Dale is starting to apply the pressure to Bergstrom at the moment, but this is where the real overtakes and the action is happening. And now indeed there's overtakes and action happening nearly in this battle for second. Van Dale looking promising here. I have to say his qualifying form, although he was only a 10th off pole, he was still 5th, but his race pace seems to be definitely not 5th in the field, if not maybe the best, other than maybe Adam Brockway, but Alec Bergstrom seems to be struggling to hold him back at the moment.
The battle rages on here. Morales, he had a little bit of a gap to Brown, but as quickly as he got it, as quickly as he lost it, Brown not close enough to make the move, though, just like Van Daly was. It's a trouble spot. That last corner, drivers seem to be unable to catch up to the back of the drivers in front, and then in these GT3 cars, the draft isn't always the most effective, even with a straight as long as Fuji's front straight. So the draft isn't playing as big of a role as I thought it would, which is interesting because turn 1 is the biggest overtaking spot, and you kind of need that draft. But look at this, turn 5 is going to become the biggest overtaking spot, and Morales loses it.
Morales goes around. There he is at turn number 6. Oh dear, and he's not really got a way of getting back going again either. He has to wait and wait and wait, and now he finally goes. Just about makes it out before the rest of the pack were onto him. Unfortunately, Morales has indeed gone around there. He was under a little bit of pressure, as we're about to see here, but really, this spin was on his own.
Yeah, Roy Brown did nothing wrong behind him. Through 100R, everything's normal. But you can see him get a little bit wide. Yeah, a little bit wide there. He sees Brown behind him on the attack. Brown a little bit quicker, sends it to the inside in turn 6 here, but Morales just outbrakes himself and loses it on the outside, and Brown on the normal line drives straight through, as does about 15 other cars as Rodrigo continues to wait. So that's going to be hurtful, but it's not going to damage him, and that's 2 in the pile of drivers who need to have some recovery drives, and Sean Carmody might be a third. Let's see what happened to him in the third sector.
Yeah, let's see. This is running up towards turn 15. Over the curb. He did lose a few places. Let's see how it happened, though. Might be well, let's see. That will be white. A good save, but he just lose quite a few seconds out of that one there. And so a few places go by the wayside. There's Mark File making his way through in the BMW just on the left-hand side there. So there's Sean McCarmody just dropping down what is 14th place from inside the top 10 where he was. Rodrigo Morales, by the way, has found himself in 21st now. He's actually up to 20th, he's just made up a place, but either way, he's dropped down quite a long way from where he was before. Danny Vanderlei has made his way up to 2nd, just ahead of these guys, by the way. Roy Brown and Dave Peterson now in 8th position. You can just see, I think, here, just how much Rodrigo Morales was holding them back, actually, because the two of them now have really almost got 3 seconds ahead of Philippe Magnan almost immediately here.
Well, if Peterson gets up to Roy and starts fighting him, they're going to slow each other down, and Magnan and Zidi and Arangua, they're all going to be straight back with them. So these two need to figure something out, but if they both have speed, they can probably run away. But Peterson seems to definitely be the quicker of the two. Dave Peterson's had a great season so far. He's had a couple of solid races in the top 10. He hasn't had race-winning speed, but he's had championship-winning consistency. So if he can keep that up, don't count out Dave Peterson in 7 weeks' time, and don't count him out for 8th place if that Ferrari has any straight-line speed. But unfortunately, like I said, the draft just not as effective as it is in some other cars, and Peterson, I don't believe he's going to be close enough in turn 1 here unless he goes for something aggressive. He peeks to the inside, but I don't know if he's going to be... Nope, not late enough on the brakes to do it, and Brown sticks it.
He was quite late on the brakes, but not quite late enough on that occasion. Yeah, Peterson is one of the most consistent drivers, actually, on this schedule, on this group of drivers. Finishing in 6th place at the Long Beach race... Sorry, 5th place at the Long Beach race. No, it was a 6th, excuse me. And then 8th place at the opener at Hockenheim. So he's right in where he normally is in terms of this order, but does tend to pick up a few places here and there by drivers going off the road up in front of him. We've seen that in the past, and we've seen it already here in this race with Morales, but that was a nice run off of turn 6 and 7, and he might have a chance to into Dunlop Corner at turn 10. Roy Brown knew it, and he did defend the inside line coming into the hairpin, and it is difficult to make a move through there because this chicane is so fiddly and so tight.
And Brown got a little bit out of shape through the first part of the corner. I thought Peterson might have been able to switch back, but it switches back itself. The track does, so Peterson could not really go anywhere there, but he's just got to stick with him. And there he goes again. Brown's been super far off the apex through that corner for a couple of laps, and now he's trying to defend to the inside. That's going to minimize his exit speed. It's going to maximize Peterson's exit speed because he's taking the corner the normal way instead of the super defensive way, and he's going to drive straight by him. Doesn't need the draft now. He's got that momentum, and if Peterson can keep this momentum up, if he can brake later, he wasn't able to on lap 1, he will have 8th place.
And this is exactly what Fuji is fantastic for, getting that run off of the corners, getting the undercut and the cutback, the crisscross, and Roy Brown's going to come back at him down this such a long front straight. He's even got the scope to come back at him into turn number 1, down the inside, but Peterson with the roaring run around the outside there is going to hold on to 8th position that is newly his, and he will keep it by the looks of things through turn 3 and around 100R as well. A great battle between the two of them. Roy Brown able to come back at him down in towards turn number 1, but not able to make it stick as Eric Luke's season just will not go right. Down to 7th position, I'm afraid, from a top 5 place. He gets back going again, a little bit of a shake on the head. Not pleased with himself. We'll wait to see how it happens, but he was in a battle with Fred Galini. I wonder, surely it won't be contact for the 3rd week in a row.
I think Galini got by him. I don't think he had any help, and yeah, here he is. He's just completely on his own. It's the same place that Morales lost it through turn 6. And he almost took out Roy Brown, or Terrafino in the process. But yeah, just the same thing that Morales did, just losing it under braking. A lot of speed, a little bit too much speed. And did Terrafino do the same thing a little bit later in the lap? That would be... Oh no, this is him on the inside. You see Luke up ahead. Terrafino sees him rolling down. Oh, there was contact there.
Yeah, slight contact. I don't think it will hold Terrafino back too much. Might like lose a K or 2 down the straight, or a mile an hour or 2 down the straight. But let's see. Probably not much. It's barely visible, actually. It is visible from the onboard cameras, but not really from offboard. As Baron Hilton off the road, I'm afraid, getting back going again. That's the final corner. He's going to drop outside the top 20, I think, at the expense of Rodrigo Morales, who's going to make his way through, among others. Let's see how it happened to the number 1 car, shall we? Into the final corner, turn 16, and he just loses it on his own. A bit strange, actually, that one. You often see that.
It's a weird corner with the elevation change. It's off camber. It's easy to do that, especially in a big lumbering BMW. I don't think he got much damage, but I think he just elected to bring it down pit road and take his service when he'd already lost some extra time. Might as well come down pit road. So that's what has happened to Baron Hilton. And Danik Van Daly, is there a little bit of damage on the front left of that Mercedes? I think there is, and I don't know where that could have come from.
Yeah, good spot. I think you're right, though. Trying to have a look here.
It must have been when he was passing Bergstrom.
It might have been. We didn't see that pass because we were looking at the quite astonishing battle for 8th at the time. But yeah, I think you're right. There is some front right damage there, but it's going to be almost impossible to find out where that came from. So do excuse us. There is the shot of it. Yeah, you can just see the gaps in the bodywork where the car should be, and the front headlight not quite where it should be either. Yeah, for some reason, Spencer Semkowicz also goes off, by the way, at the final sector. There he is, trying to get out of the way, and he's got damage to that car as well, by the looks of things. Through goes a couple more Ferraris, but he's outside the top 20. And I'm afraid he might have had some help at turn 15. Let's see what happens. It looks like he might have been actually on his own. Or maybe he was collected afterwards. Let's see.
Yep, another victim of this last sector, just gets it out of shape, and then it's very, very difficult, especially in these GT3 cars with traction control. It's trying to help you save it, but it's also hurting you in your ability to save it, and Semkowicz know where he can go as live pit stops. Here we go with 14 minutes to go.
Absolutely, we're in the window. Don't forget, these guys are limited to 40% of the usual fuel tanks of these cars, and so they will have to make a pit stop despite the fact this is only a 35-minute race. That's what makes it so interesting here in the GT3 Fixed Series and the Sprint Series later, as we will explain in due course. But meanwhile, Fred Galini has got through on Alec Bergstrom. That's a nice pass. Bergstrom, unfortunately, despite his qualifying pace, his race pace is not really matching it right now, and he drops off the podium and quite convincingly going the wrong way at the moment.
I don't know what's going on with him. He was sticking with Brockway very well in the opening stages of the race. He was almost close enough to make a move into turn 1 at one point, but over the course of the 20 minutes or so that we've run so far, he's just lost time and lost time and lost time, and now he's going to bring it down pit road 6.4 seconds behind the leader. Here he comes. He does take the pit entry the correct way. There's a very long white line on the track, and you have to get in before that white line starts. That's caught a lot of drivers out in the past. It caught my own teammate out, Steven Ritters, from a podium spot in the F3 race 2 weeks ago, but Bergstrom knows where the pit entry is. He brings it down pit road, and he's got 13 minutes to make up whatever's gone wrong with his race so far.
Yeah, no damage on his car by the looks of things, just something wrong with the pace as things stand. He pulls into the box. By the way, he's part of the current Teams Championship leading team. That's Yellow Stripe Motorsport. He's actually partnering Adam Brockway at the moment. They did have a 1-2 for the team not so long ago. They've picked up a lot of points so far, by the way, though, so they do have the championship lead by 19 points ahead of Team Beef, which is Michael Terrafino and Roy Brown, who are both inside the top 10 at the moment, but are losing points once again to Yellow Strike, who will be extending that as things stand. Here is Roy Brown, we were just talking about him. He's under pressure for this eighth position. Ever since Dave Peterson got through in him, he has been falling backwards, and Philippe Magnon is going to be the next man to challenge him, quite possibly into Dunlop, but no moves here into turn number 10. It's exactly the portion in the racetrack where you might stop thinking about on-track moves and start thinking about pit stop moves, but Magnon is putting that all to the back of his mind at the moment. He goes down the inside at turn 30 and he makes 8th position his.
That was almost like Brown didn't even fight it, which was strange because he fought turn 10 so hard, but Brown's much later on the brakes than Magnon, so look for him to maybe make a move back into turn 1 unless they both bring it down pit road, because he's been so fantastic on the brakes, and now the race leaders and the whole top three's in.
Yeah, Brockway, Vantelli and Collini, the previous top 3 into the pit lane, so Michael Terrafino is going to take over the lead of this race ahead of Eric Luke, recovering from that spin. Philippe Magnon is going to get a podium place here very briefly. Roy Brown trying to challenge him for that one. Maybe a look down the inside here. He's quite late on the brakes as Roy Brown down here into turn 1, but not late enough on that occasion to make his way through. There's Brockway though. When is he going to be exiting the pit lane? There he goes now. About 10 seconds in the box. 10.8. Danik Vandalia does similar. Fred Galini as well. Fred Galini actually saves a second there in terms of the pit stops. Where is Anik Bergstrom? He's behind Galini. He is behind Galini. So that undercut, that attempted pit stop strategy, I reckon that gap's actually bigger than it was before, and I think it might be partly down to the fact that Fred Galini, he had his pit stop 1 second shorter than pretty much everybody else is there. I hope he's good on fuel, and I'm sure he will be, but it's certainly giving him a bit of breathing room in this fight.
Hopefully it's not a miscalculation. We've seen that happen before, especially with a timed race like this. You can end up having an extra lap that you didn't really anticipate, you didn't calculate for, but hopefully Galini, whether he's got an automatic fuel calculator with a crew chief software or whatever, hopefully he's calculated that right, because that would be horrific to lose a podium by running out of fuel on the last lap. That would be not a great way for Fred Galini's third race to go, and Magnon almost destroys those yellow curbs again, and he finally brings it down pit road as well, as does Roy Brown. I think this has got to be the limit. There's probably no way you can go an extra lap in addition to this.
Yeah, you get the feeling this is... Oh, into the wall! Philippe Magnon into the wall. The entry to the pit lane is so fast, and it's really quite tricky here. And Philippe Magnon has just found that out first hand in the 431. We'll get another view of it here. We saw it from up above. This is how much these guys are pushing. You commented there about the getting close to those yellow curbs, nearly destroying his car. Well, he went one better going into the pit lane here. Let's have a look. On board with the Porsche. Just doesn't shift out to fourth until very late on and slides a bit into the wall. That's going to have caused a bit of damage.
It wasn't horrific contact. He was lucky that he kind of lost the rear a little bit, shaved it a little bit, so I don't think he'll actually be in bad shape here. It's a little bit embarrassing when you hit the pit wall on pit entry, but you can see on the side of his car it's not that bad, I don't think, so it's a little bit scary, but I don't think Magnon's going to be too worse for wear there. And Dave Peterson's stayed ahead of Roy Brown here, but he has been jumped by Magnon, so yes. Magnon might have hit the wall, but clearly there was some speed in that pit entry because he's jumped Dave.
Yeah, I wonder if any of the Sprint Series guys are going to be taking note about that pit entry, because that did get him in position. I'm sure that's not the reason. The reason is probably the 1.3 seconds, that he gained in the pit stops in terms of stationary time there for Philippe Magnon. He did gain that little bit of time, and that has helped him out greatly in this race here. He's got him out in 8th position. Roy Brown's closed on Dave Peterson, but he wasn't able to quite follow through and jump him as well. Looking at that car, I have to say, I can't really see very much damage. If we didn't see that scrape on the pit wall, I don't think I would have noticed that he'd done it at all, actually.
I completely agree. It was frightening to see when it happened, and you could very clearly see him hit the wall, but when we rode on board, we saw what really happened. It was really almost just a scrape of the wall. So Magnon has really gotten away with that. And we joke about the drivers in the sprint race learning about that and taking a little bit extra speed into the pit entry. I think they might learn from that. They might learn that there's maybe a little bit of extra aggression that you can use on pit entry, and it might scrape the wall, but if you can avoid it, you can take a lot more speed than you might have originally thought if you're being conservative.
Yeah. As we look at the battle for 11th position, Blake ZT is under pressure from Sean Carmody. It's an all-Audi battle heading down towards turn number 1. And it's very late on the brakes from ZT, actually, who tries to hold on to this place, but it's too late, and it's wide off on the tarmac on the left-hand side. Sean Carmody's going to be all too happy to slip through there. He's recovering, of course, from that little mistake he had through the final corner early on in this race. Had to lose a few places due to catching a spin, basically, but he's recovered at least to 11th position through on Blake ZT there. A fairly easy move. Just show, though, that turn 1 really just fall away. On the inside there, you really ideally do want to be there, because the further out wide you go, the more the track actually falls away, and the kind of negative camber you get around there.
It's such a strange corner because, yes, like you said, if you're on the inside, that's where you think you want to be, but then it switches back, and then the next corner, turn 3, the camber switches again, 100R, the camber switches again, turn 6, the camber switches again. So it's just a constant switchback. And if you can stick with the driver, if they make the move on you, it's very easy to make the move back if you can get to the inside on one of those next switchbacks. So that's one of the good things about Fuji. Oh, that's not a good thing for Sean Carmody or Blake ZT up ahead. The switching cambers certainly caught him out there through turn 14.
Yeah, he nearly switched ends, I'm afraid, but caught the car quite well, and very impressively, considering he's driving an Audi, because they are famously not very catchable. As we look at the number 4 car of Matthias Aranga trying to make his way through on the BMW just in front. Not able to really in that Lamborghini file, just defends, half attacks, half defends, and Aranga nearly went sailing into the back of him there. Just had to take a bit of avoiding action, but didn't quite go into the back of him, thankfully. 5.5 minutes to go here at Fuji. Alan Brockway has a 4-second lead up in front. Danik Van Dale looks like he might well be denied for the first time this season, but it doesn't look like we're going to be stopped of having a pole position, a fastest lap and a race win all cleaned up by the same driver. It looks like all 3, or at least 2 of those bonus points, at least going to go to Alan Brockway, as this battle for minor places goes on behind. Blake ZT is falling through the field, and I think it might have something to do with that damage on the right hand side of his car.
Definitely not helping, and Arangula, again, he's been super aggressive. He was very aggressive through turn 1. Cannot find a way through ZT into turn 10. Hops that inside curve. It's easy on that inside curve if you take a little bit too much to spin the car, but we've seen a lot of drivers in this race getting super aggressive, hopping that curve very aggressively. Arangula no different, but Blake ZT already lost that spot to File. And down the front straight, we saw how quick Arangula was in this Lamborghini. We saw how late he was in the brakes. He almost went into the back of File. And that's going to be worrying for ZT, who defends to the inside. Oh, but he hits the curb, and that's going to kill Arangula's run. He had such a perfect run lined up there, and he threw it away on the curb on the inside. Yeah, it's one that you can take just a little bit, but not that much, because you will ruin your run onto the front straight. We have a quick look at the track conditions, by the way. 98 Fahrenheit on the road at the moment. Clouding over, though, as things stand. We're in the middle of the afternoon, by the way, which is how most of, if not all of these races, I think, are going to be run. So, yeah, this is, by the way, the time that the official race is also ran at as well, which helps out a little bit. Or similar, at least. Moving forward, like Blake ZT trying to move forward, but Mark Fowle, it looks like he's going to stay in front for the moment. 3.5 minutes to go. Think there's going to be 2 more laps after this, or maybe 3 actually. So we might get 3 laps as the battles behind also continue on. This is Regan Chandler trying to hold off the likes of Baron Hilton, who's making his way back through. It's the battle for 19th position, and this is where the point in the race really where we're seeing the battles for minor places be more interesting than the ones inside the top 10. There's Magnan versus Peterson going on at the moment, with Roy Brown as well a little bit, but they're not really fighting like these guys are. Galini and Bergstrom, though, if Galini's got to save fuel to the end, if he did short fuel, that might be why Alec Bergstrom's been so much faster in these dying minutes. Brockway crossed the line, It's going to be 2 laps to go. I think we'll have to check the timing on that, but Galini, if he does have enough fuel, he certainly had to save a little bit, because look at the gap that Bergstrom's closed up here.
I think you're right. I think it's 2 laps to go here at the moment for Adam Brockway. And 9 seconds behind. The battle for third is really starting to heat up. Are we going to get Alex Bergstrom onto the podium and see 2 Mercedes on the podium once again? Bergstrom has finished second in all of the races so far this season. He would like that podium run to continue at least, as Dave Peterson holds on to his 9th position at least ahead of Roy Brown. Philippe Magnan makes his way up to 8th position, or at least holds on. You just see that's a lap car. Mercedes just in the background there, closing on these guys as well. Just as I said, the battles in the top 10 were dying down. They've livened up again, especially this one for 8th. Look at Peterson down the inside of Magnan through 100R. You don't see that very often.
And it becomes the outside here. The outside's not been a friendly place to drivers in the hairpin before, but Peterson keeps all 4 wheels pointing in the right direction. But that's killed his exit here. He needed a better exit to be able to send it to the inside of Magnan, but maybe it is a good exit. Maybe it's better than I thought. And he does send it to the inside of turn 10. I can't believe he was able to pull that off. And there he goes. He's through.
He is. That is a great pass from Dave Peterson through on Philippe Magnan, who did hit the wall on the way into the pit lane. It's remarkable how he's still going at quite this pace, but he's not going in 8th position anymore, I'm afraid. Peterson through, Roy Brown looking to try and follow him. He has pushed the Porsche offline through the penultimate turn, but not really able to take advantage of that right now, as Adam Brockway takes the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Fuji. He's got 5 seconds and he should be cruising to a race win.
He will be cruising to a race win. I can guarantee you a 5.5 second gap. He does not need to be driving at 100%. He can drive at about 75% and still bring it home with a comfortable gap, but Dave Peterson can't do the same thing. Look at him snaking down the front straight Indy 500 style. Just barely defends to the inside, but I think he realized that Magnan had nowhere to go, and there goes Roy Brown, the late breaker, but it doesn't work on the inside there. Magnan hangs on, but I don't think that's going to be the last dive from Brown. Look for him in turn 10. I think he's going to have another shot.
Yeah, there's got to be real dives being made by all 3 of these drivers to try and get us what they can really from this race. They're nearly a half minute behind the race leader at this stage, and so we'll see this action after the race leader comes around, as Roy Brown takes a bit too much speed through 100R, and he's basically out of the battle now, so he'll be consoling himself with 10th position, I think, in this race. It's really down to Philippe Magnan and Dave Peterson themselves. Meanwhile, up in front of all of these guys, though, a man who hasn't really had to battle anybody so far, Adam Brockway in the 42 BMW is going to end this winning streak by Mercedes. They've won the first 4 races overall in the GT3s in the Precision Racing League. That comes to an end here at Fuji as BMW hit the front. It's Adam Brockway who takes the victory here at Fuji. Round 3 of the GT3 Fixed Series in the Precision Racing League goes to the 42 of Adam Brockway as Danik Van Daele comes over the line with no front end in the background. Meanwhile, Dave Peterson is going to hold off Philippe Magnan in a great battle for 8th position. Great fights we've seen up and down the field, especially including this one, and the one in the background there with Mark File and Blake Ziti is going to go side by side to the line. The BMW just looks like it has the legs for 12th position over the line.
I don't know what happened to Danik Van Daele, because you're right, he didn't have a front end crossing the line, but despite that, he made up a 1.5 seconds on the last lap. Wow. That is bizarre. I wonder, because he had damage, and it looked like on that shot there, the front end was still on, but it just turned black. So that's very strange. Yeah, look at that. There's a front end on that car. It's just become unpainted. Oh, no, there isn't. It is off. It is off. That was an optical illusion. So the front end has been taken. I wonder if that was in pit lane. I wonder if they just decided to rip it off instead of fixing the damage.
Well, this was so long ago, but I'm gobsmacked as to how we didn't notice. I guess we just weren't looking at him, I suppose. But that was a bizarre end to Danik Van Daele's day, you can be sure. But he's still second, and he picks up decent points in the championship. He'll extend his lead again from 11 points at the start of the day, because Ike Bergstrom finishes off of the podium here for the first time this season. He wasn't quite able to get through on Frank Galini in the end. They were all behind Adam Brockway, though. That BMW taking the win ahead of Danik Van Daele and Frank Galini, running out 3 different manufacturers on the podium here today. Alex Bergstrom fourth ahead of Michael Terrafino, had a quiet race, but ended up in the top 5. Eric Luke still searching for that first top 5 of the season, first podium of the season as well. 6th position for him today. Andre Bernardi, we didn't see much of him, but he finished 7th ahead of Dave Peterson, Philippe Magnan and Roy Brown, who were fighting till the very end. Sean Carmody came over the line in 11th, but Mark File just held off Blake Seaty for 12th. Andrew Ellis and Matthias Arangia round out the top 15. We've got Kyle Streichhardt and Rodrigo Morales recovered to 17th in that race. Dale Pedersen was 18th ahead of Baron Hilton and Baron Glover, who were pretty inseparable throughout that race. They finished 19th and 20th in that race. Ryan Chandler and Spencer Semkowicz were both outside the top 20 and both over a minute down. Regan Chandler was 23rd ahead of Sean Duhamel. Jean-Francois Champagne is 25th ahead of Eric Dubé. David Boucher and Mark Bray were next up ahead of Russell Elenzado and Matthew Gagnon, rounding out the top 30. Don Bowden and Brian Hoskins were the final cars on the lead lap. Donald Olsen running out 1 lap down. Jim Fitzpatrick, Glenn Banco and Jason Burmeister did cross the line, albeit laps down. Carlos Lopez and Ryan Luna were out of this race after only a couple of laps. Well, that was a fantastic race for Adam Brockway, I think it's fair to say. A pretty runaway victory here in that one. So we're going to have a quick chat to him now while we get ready for this GT3 sprint race. Adam, welcome to the commentary booth. Good to have you here. Good to see you having a fantastic race out there as well here tonight. A great victory for you there. Just talk us through what it's like, though, to drive this BMW here at Fuji Speedway. A new circuit, of course, to the iRacing service. What's it like?
Oh man, it's great. I had a good time in the BMW. I was putting in some consistent laps, and I was just happy to come away with a win today.
Absolutely, and a great win it was. Were you ever worried about the challenges behind from some of those drivers that were running in, second, third? Danik Vandele was coming through the field, of course. Were you ever worried that he might get to you, or were you pretty confident actually in that win?
Oh no, I was sweating the whole race, 100%. I know Danik's got some good speed, and my teammate Alec was able to hold him off for a little bit, but every time I was checking my relative, I saw that number dropping, and I think he made some mistakes towards the end of the race, and I started to pull away a little bit, and but no, it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it certainly did. And just one final thing as well before we let you go, and obviously celebrate the win. What are you hoping for from the next few races? What are you hoping for from the season? What can we expect from you over the next few weeks?
The goal is just to stay consistent. I think I finished 4th and 5th in the first and second race, and the goal is obviously to win a championship. But I think right now just sitting in a podium for the end of the season would be pretty good for me.
Absolutely, and we look forward to seeing you over those next few weeks out there in the GT3 Fixed here once again. Adam, thanks so much for coming to join us for an interview, of course, and congratulations once again on your victory here tonight.
Thanks, guys. You have a good night.
Thanks very much. Adam Brockway there, winning in the GT3 Fixed Series at Fuji, and Joey, as you just passed a note to me there, his first ever win in the PRL at all. Not just this season in the Fixed Series, not just in GT3s overall, but ever, and that must be a great feeling for him.
It must be a great feeling, and that goes to show that the quality of the field in the Precision Racing League has always been good, but this season in every series, there's been new drivers, and they have really put up incredible fights. In this series, we see Adam Brockway take his first win, Sean Campbell in the GT4s on Monday. In the Truck Series, we've seen Sean Powell on Wednesdays. It's been an incredible season for the Precision Racing League, and the competition is only getting better with every season.
It certainly is, and we've seen that so far in the GT3 Fixed Series. Danik Vandele will extend his championship lead, although he's only in second place today. I don't think today will worry him somehow. He'll be looking ahead to the next few weeks, and he'll be worrying or wondering about where he can go from there. That'll be coming up at Watkins Glen, of course, where we'll see the GT3 Sprint Series as well. July 12th. Make sure you join us for that here on RaceSpotTV. Danik Vandele will be looking forward to that. We've still got one race coming up here tonight, of course, though. 40 minutes of an open setup race with the 50% limited fuel tanks, of course, as well, to make the race interesting. I guess we should start looking forward and previewing that one a little bit, Joey. It's been a story of Mercedes once again in that series as well. Top 5 in the championship are all the Mercedes, but it was Guillaume Levesque who pulled off, I have to say, a bit of a surprise to us. But when we spoke to him, he wasn't very shocked at all. He looked like he'd been to the shops.
Yeah, something tells me Guillaume isn't going to be able to pull off what he did last week, though. Last week, if you weren't here with us, he did a 0 stop. He didn't stop for fuel at Long Beach and pulled off the win because of that. But this week at Fuji, that long straight is just guzzling so much fuel. I don't think there's any chance you're going to subtract a stop from this race, but in the previous couple races for this GT3 Sprint Series, it's been craziness. It's a bigger field than the fixed series. There's 2 classes to fight for, and if it's anything like those last 2 races, if it's anything like the race we just saw at Fuji, it's going to be wild.
It is, so yeah, make sure you stay with us for that one. Here are the standings in all their glory, by the way. Just 5 points at the moment separate last week's race winner Guillaume Levesque from Moises Caraballo, who was race winner at Hockenheim, but struggled a little bit at Long Beach, has to be said. Dropped a few points, but still finished in a respectable 5th position. He's 5 points away. Diego Morales is 3rd and Vincent Trepanier. Then it's Arnaud Jeunesse in the 5th position. Andrew Hartmann's not too far behind. Basically, this is all very, very close. It's not like we see in the fixed series where we're really getting a bit of a hierarchy almost in the field. It's all over the place. It's very, very open, as the name suggests.
And that's very much because of the differences in the 2 tracks that we've seen. Danik Van Daly in the fixed series, he mastered 2 different types of tracks, but there were such different results between the street circuit at Long Beach and the Grade 1 style track at Hockenheim, which switched everything. But let's take a look at the AM standings as well. Surprise, surprise, Nick McLaughlin leading an AM championship in the Precision Racing League. But unlike in the Pro Series, this series, or this class, had the same podium 2 weeks in a row. McLaughlin, Patrick, and Miguel Angel Fonseca, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2 weeks in a row. They've been the big 3 so far, but Robert Ridgway down there looking to improve. Clayton Ham's had some good results. Kwok Nin's always around. This might be the class. The Pro class is good, but the AM class is always one to watch.
It is. McLaughlin, though, despite winning those first 2 races, only got 8 points over Ryan Patrick, who's very much kept tabs on him. Those 2 part of a similar team, by the way, so they are really doing very well in that one. As you say, same top 3 in the first 3 races here this season. That is very good for those guys, of course, but difficult for everybody else to get involved here. In terms of this race, I kind of wanted to ask this before the fixed series, but we didn't really have time. We've got a bit more time now to talk about it. Is the kind of new addition of a new circuit to iRacing, is this going to be a bit different to all of the others? Because obviously, like, for example, Watkins Glen that we're seeing next week, we see everybody knows Watkins Glen so well, especially here on iRacing, even though it's had updates to it and whatever, everybody knows it so well. Is the fact that it's a new circuit, only been out for about 4 weeks, will that change anything for these drivers? Maybe, I guess, looking at the fixed series, but I guess it's still, that debate is still open, I guess.
It's a little bit of a leveler when a new track is introduced, and like I briefly mentioned in the intro, it is the newest road course on iRacing, or one of the 2 newest with Sandown that'll be coming later on in the season. So that does level the playing field, but on the other hand, it has been a couple weeks, almost a full month now, since that Season 3 update came. So there's been lots of time to practice at Fuji. There's been a little bit of time this week to practice in the official series, so it's not like it's a complete new thing for these drivers to take on, but it is very new. And some of the drivers who have been on iRacing for years, they know Watkins Glen, they know Summit Point, they know Hockenheim, even though that's new too. They know Long Beach, even though that's also new. I picked some terrible examples there. But yeah, it's a new track. The playing field's going to be level, and like we saw in the last race, this could be the week that something finally changes up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Although in the pro category especially, things are a little bit different. There is Mount Fuji in all its glory, racing in its shadow here again. Today it is casting a bit of a shadow because it's quite cloudy at the moment out there right now. Nick McLaughlin, of course, with 2 race wins so far in the AM category as well. To remind you, will this be the day where that one changes just a little bit? I'm kind of hoping for his health that it might be. I don't want to see him down maple syrup again, if I'm honest, but we could see that again if indeed he does take the victory. He has got a a faith cam here for us to enjoy. So we'll see him hard at work, I'm sure, at some point throughout qualifying or indeed the race up ahead as well, as we have seen in the past, of course. But we're not too far away now from the qualifying getting underway for the GT3 Sprint Series. It just has 20 seconds on the clock, and we've got 10 minutes on the clock, I should say, about 30 seconds down. So time for us to get ready and get these laps underway. Nick Horvath here in one of the few McLarens. I'm a big fan of the McLaren, so good to see it out here once again. But 4 laps once again here, Joey, for these guys to get themselves set up and get themselves up towards the front, because, well, we didn't see chaos into Turn 1 at the fixed series. There is always that danger of chaos here at Fuji, and you do want to be up front rather than down in the middle.
You do, and Horvath, he's in the AM class, so we'd assume that the AM drivers will be below the pro drivers, and they will be dead in the middle of the field at the start, which is worrying if you are that driver who's starting dead in the middle of the field. But we saw in the last race everybody got through clean. We saw in the F3 race last week, not everybody got through clean, but it wasn't Turn 1 where most of the problems ensued, so everybody's been very, very well behaved through Turn 1, even though it is very, very possible to have a very large accident there with how wide and how late on the brakes you have to be. But Nick Horvath here through the final corner. Oh, never mind. Number 62 and Nick McLaughlin, the championship leader. That's what we're going to watch take on this last sector, and he will be on a flying lap here once he gets through 15 and 16.
Yeah, not the long... Well, it is a bit longer than Long Beach, of course, that we saw last time out. It's... oh, dear. Over those sausage curbs. Yeah, it's not the longest circuit in the world, so you can get your laps in fairly comfortably around here. It takes you about 7 minutes to do them, maybe a bit less. They've got 10 minutes to do them as well, so you can have this outlap run on for a little bit of time. But as we saw with Danik Van Dale in the fixed series, it's not a given that you can get them all in. There is Nick McLaughlin, and he's making his way down towards turn number 1. We're able to see a lap on board with him here, hopefully, and he'll be making use of that triple screen display that will be helping him into some of these blind apexes. A little bit turn 1 there that will be helping him out, but particularly we're going to see him looking left and right all over the place through that final sector particularly.
Let's see him here through turn 3. Doesn't look that far to the left, and one change has been made there, a recent patch. You used to be able to basically jump that bollard on the inside, but that's been updated. Half of your car has to be to the right of the green concrete there, so you cannot cut that corner as much as you previously could. McLaughlin raced in the F3 race last week when you could cut it, so he's had to relearn that corner a little bit in a new car and with new track limits configurations, but took it pretty well. Turn 10, trouble spot, got to be late in the brakes, don't want to lose the rear, don't want to lock up the rears and spin. And he's taken that very well, and then the troublesome final sector, he hit one of those curbs on the warm-up lap. Got to make sure he doesn't do that, because that's going to be a lot of time lost and could be floor damage. He got away with it on that warm-up lap, but I don't think you can get away from hitting those curbs a lot more times than that.
No, you'd rather avoid it. Going to the final corner, turn 16, trying to get the best run possible onto that front straight. It's arguably the most important corner on this circuit. Up towards the line for him. He's regularly inside the top 5, top 10 or so. So will he manage that here once again with this lap time here? It's a 38.2, and it's not indeed the best AM time even. Rob Campbell with the best AM time currently. It's Moises Caraballo who's up top in the overall standings. There he is in the 2.878. There he is. Just getting back to the pit lane again. Guillaume Levesque in the 888 is in second, only a quarter of a tenth of a second away. Vincent Trepanier third, ahead of Jonathan Wager and Andrew Hartman in the 5th position. So a very defined top 2, it has to be said. Half a second separate Levesque and Trepanier, which is a real big margin.
It is, but I wonder if that's just those first lap jitters. I wonder if on the second lap it'll start to even out just a little bit, because Levesque and Trepanier, remember last week, they were almost dead even with Trepanier getting the pole there, and those two are teammates, so they are going to be sharing a little bit, and they have proven that they've got equal speed. But David Busch, the third of the David Bushes in the number 20 Lamborghini, riding on board with him, and he's got the VR. We've seen triple screens, now we see VR, and you'll see his head move, and you'll see the extended field of vision, the extended motion he has, which could really be an advantage in a place like this.
Absolutely. It's not. This is an outlap, by the way, which is why he's going so slowly. It's a kind of distance, this race, where you can't see get away with running VR. It's not exactly a long race. I know it's 40 minutes long, which is fairly long, but it's not too long for you to for you to not be able to do VR. So this might be helpful in a race like this. The number 20 car just in 20th at the moment, although has not really got a representative lap time to his name at this stage, as some would say. We'll wait and see. That's a class position, by the way, not an overall placing. He's much further down in the overalls, 28th at the moment in the overall standings. Breaking down towards turn number 1, trying to get that apex, and does so nicely in a Lamborghini, and just tries to open out that corner as much as possible through turn 1, as there's an improvement not only from Vincent Trepanier but Drew Becker in the 22. He shoots up to 4th place in that number 22 car as Guillaume Levesque tries to topple Vincent Trepanier, and here he is.
Drew Becker had a fantastic practice session. He was 2nd on the timesheets, which is higher than he's been in previous weeks, so look for him to maybe be an underdog here, an upset winner. But Levesque wants to win 2 in a row. Caraballo's back on it. He didn't have the best race last week. He didn't really play the strategy especially well. It didn't work out for him. He did the 0 stop, and it did work out, but it did not win the race for him. But did win it for Levesque, and those two are now the two that are fighting for the win here. So everything's really evened out. And through the final sector, it's very difficult to track the speed through the first couple sectors, but it's looked tidy, it's looked clean for Levesque, and he's got one more corner to nail. It looks pretty good through here too.
It has looked good. Out of the final corner, and he only needs a 1/4 of a tenth of a second. He's got about 2 by the looks of things out the final corner. A long way to the line, but still looks like he's going to be able to get this. Moises Caraballo in the pit lane. He's not going to be able to improve, I don't think, again in this session. Guillaume Levesque over the line. It's a 37-0, and it's at the moment provisional pole position for the 888 Mercedes. A nice lap time. Can Moises Caraballo respond? I don't actually think he's going to have time. Only 2.5 minutes, unless he's on a lap right now. Unless he's about to, he's only around here. He needs to get to the, and this is an outlap quite clearly. I don't think Caraballo is going to have nearly enough time to make this lap work, and I think he's going to be starting from, at best, 2nd.
Andrew Hardman, the next driver on a quick lap. Another BMW as well. Drew Becker's also a BMW, and Hardman now becomes the fastest BMW, but still half a second off those top 2. So Levesque and Caraballo have clearly figured this place out a little bit more than the rest of the field. But still, that's a great lap from Hardman, and that shows that the BMWs do have some speed. It might not be pole-winning speed, but they've certainly got quite a lot of speed. 2 of them in the top 5, and Becker could only get quicker. He was up there in 3rd. He only needs about 2 tenths to get back up there, and he does have time to finish this lap.
Couple of tenths of a second worth of improvement early on in this lap, but he's got a long way to go here as Drew Becker in one of the nicer liveries, I have to say, in this field. Not bad. Running down towards Dunlop. Turn 10, this very difficult kind of chicane that was added to replace a much faster corner that used to be here. Slightly less than 90 degrees, slightly more open than 90 degrees corner. It's quite a committed one, but not used anymore, in favour of a slow one. And then this final sector as well to really slow the momentum. Some people really do hate this final sector. Feels like it kind of ruins the flow that the rest of this circuit has, but you can't dismiss the challenge for all of these drivers of this final part of the course. Out of the turn 16 he comes now, and up towards the line. Is this going to be an improvement or not? He needs a little bit of time to get maybe onto the 2nd row at the expense of Vincent Trepanier, but let's see if he can manage it. Becker comes towards the line now, and it's a 37.5. It's going to be 3rd for Drew Becker. There it is. He's still nearly half a second away from Guillaume Levesque, but he won't mind that at all, as Moises Caraballo has run out of time here to complete his lap, I think. Unless he's going to be allowed to continue on after it's down to 0, which is exceptionally unlikely. He's not going to be able to do this, so Guillaume Levesque looks like he's going to get the pole position. And Moises Caraballo is going to be alongside him, challenging him, but I feel like it's going to be a great battle between those two.
It will be a great battle between those two. The first 2 winners of this season now on the front row alongside each other. time ticks down. Time is up. Caraballo has got a couple extra practice corners, I guess, and Brisson so close. He just needed a couple extra tenths to finish that lap, but we're in for quite a fight of the Titans here on the front row.
We really are. Two of the race winners so far from this GT3 Sprint Series season, ready to do battle here in Japan at Fuji International Speedway. Let's take a look then at that grid before we get into this 40-minute race. Before too long, the first 7 cars covered by pros, and Guillaume Levesque is the first of them. Moises Caraballo will be alongside him, and if Drew Becker with that late lap time to make it an all BMW Road 2 alongside Andrew Hartmann. Vincent Trepanier runs out on top 5 ahead of Jonathan Wager in that 6th position. 7th place is going to be Andrew Waring ahead of the first of the AM cars, Rob Campbell. Devon Horvath and Arnaud Jeunesse round out the top 10. Tommy Brisson and Nick McLaughlin round out the top 12, with McLaughlin 2nd of the AMs. Michelin Green will be 13th ahead of Ted Lowendick. Mark McDonald is rounding out the top 15 ahead of Ozzy Milwain. Miguel Angel Fonseca, eternally 3rd by the looks of things. He'll be alongside Clayton Ham on the 9th row. In 19th place is going to be Alex Fournier, with Ryan Patrick rounding out the top 20. Caleb Lehman will be 21st, with Dave Menanoa, Alexandra Breton and Eric Haag. Next up, Kevin Norris and Lance Loomis will be on the 13th row together, ahead of Marc-Andre Desjardins in the 27th position. Laurent Christophe de Ruel will be in 28th ahead of Ethan Tavitas and Kwok Nin, rounding out the top 30, and we've got still loads to go here, my goodness. Brett Turman and Nick Horvath will be on the next row ahead of David Bush III and Corey Precker. Michael Broomhead and Colin McKenzie will be on the next row together ahead of Colin Hefferman. Alex Wright will be next ahead of Christopher Rines. Luke Davis and James Doherty will be outside of the top 40. Then we've got Mulholland, Ridgway, Morse, Cowgill, Amaro, Colander and Hilton rounding out a whopping 48 car grid here at Fuji. We're coming through the final sector right now. It's a huge grid, but the 2 best drivers arguably are on the front row together.
Yes, they are, but there were a couple pros down there at the back of the field. Nicholas Colander, Eric Haag low in the field, Michael Broomhead low in the field. We saw Broomhead go very, very far forward at Hockenheim in week 1, so look for them on the side of your screens to move their way forward in this field.
That's the aim. They're going to aim to get through turn 1 first of all, because it really is, as we said in the first race, it really is a bit of a pinch point for all these guys, and it's going to be very, very tricky for everybody to get through quite so cleanly. The cars in the background there trying to keep up with the pace. You see, it is a monster grid here for the 3rd race of the Precision Racing League GT3 Sprint Series at Fuji Speedway. You'll be able to see them just in the background there, coming still round the final corner. 24 rows of GT3 cars ready to go racing into turn number 1. Guillaume Levesque is in control of the field. Moises Caraballo is going to try and respond as best as he can to the jump, which is still not coming. And now it finally does. Levesque hits the gas and we go racing here at Fuji. 40 minutes here in the GT3 Sprint Series. And it's Levesque who's got off to the best start. Moises Caraballo just follows in the slipstream, a single file, as the BMWs in the background just battle. Drew Becker on the inside line there of the 3 car, and he makes his way up to 3rd. It's Andrew Hartmann on the outside line who drops to 4th. Andrew Waring gets into 5th ahead of Vincent Trepanier and Jonathan Wager in the 7th place. There's a car around in the background. Not sure who it is just for the moment, but it looks like the 312 of Arnaud Jeunesse, I'm afraid, and he goes immediately back to the pit lane. It's a disaster start for him, but he looks like the only car that's gone around early.
I think James Doherty might have gotten into trouble as well, but there's Genet on the inside and just barely into the side of the 93 and then loops it around himself. So not much contact. I'm surprised he took a whole toe there, but clearly he thought it was bad enough. And there's a change for the lead. Levesque takes the lead.
He does. Continues on with Caraballo just following on behind Drew Becker, Hartmann, Waring, Trepanier, Wager, Horvath, Brisson and Michelin Green rounding out the top 10. There's how he did it into turn number 1. Here Levesque just controlling this start. Caraballo trying to stay with him as best he can as we come out the final corner for the first time, complete the first lap of this race. And it's Mercedes followed by Mercedes, BMW followed by BMW. Rounding out the top 4, Levesque already weaving around to try and deny Caraballo the slipstream.
And he's already snaking around this early, which is surprising, but he knows that Caraballo is a very worthy opponent, as close as they were in qualifying, and that was actually pretty effective. He holds him back by about 3/10. Moises a little bit later on the brakes, but there's a new leader in AM. Rob Campbell has gotten into trouble on lap 1. He was the 93 who Genet got into, and who else could possibly take the lead but Mr. Nicholas McLaughlin?
And a little bit of contact behind. Oh, around goes Alex Fournier. He's right in the middle of the road. Hopefully nobody collects him. He'll be breathing in here, and there's still a good few cars to go. And now finally gets going, and we'll tow back to pit lane. I don't know why he didn't do that in the middle of the road, but either way, here's how it happened. A big battle going on behind, and I just wonder if there's going to be some late braking here from one or two of these, and going to get into the side of him. Yeah, there you are. Fournier, although didn't quite give the room on the inside line there, gets hit once or twice. And then finally, I don't know why he didn't escape at this point, if that's what he intended to do, but either way, he finally did, and returns back to pit lane. So these front two, Levesque versus Caraballo, is going to be a great fight. Not sure how Rob Campbell, by the way, ended up in the pit lane, but he has done. Not sure why he's had to come down pit lane, but Nick McLaughlin, as you say there, has taken the lead ahead of Miguel Angel Fonseca in the 666. So the battles in Pro and Am, both nose to tail.
And Rob Campbell was who Arnaud Genet hit on that lap 1, so that was critical. It was only for about the last spot in the top 10 for Genet, but that's the AM leader that he ended up taking out, so I wonder if that's why he brought it back to the pits. He's one of the lead driver stewards. But here we go down into turn 1, Caraballo on the attack. But on the outside, he's been later on the brakes on lap 1, but no, just turns in too late, doesn't work.
Yeah, Levesque is certainly weaving down these straights here, and I'm not entirely sure where we'd stand on that in terms of, because it's not a weaving in terms of blocking, in terms of properly defending. Caraballo's not going to the right, and we're seeing reactionary blocking. However, it is still weaving around. Here is the battle in arm as they try and avoid Ted Lowendick, who goes around on the entry there to 130 off through turn 3. This is McLaughlin versus Miguel Angel Fonseca. You just see McLaughlin in the right hand side of that shot, and Fonseca in the VR headset just on the left hand side. It's great to see both of these, both in real life and in sim, just battling it out at the moment in the two Audis.
And there's a pro right in front of them with Mark McDonald in the 216, so that's another dynamic here. But everybody gets in line. It was a little bit chaotic through 5 and 6, but McDonald just seems to be a little bit slower than McLaughlin, but they're not fighting for position because they're in two different classes, which makes this a very interesting battle. Does McDonald just elect to fall back and let these guys through, let them fight their own battle? I don't know, but McLaughlin truly appears to be the faster of the two here. He really wants to get away from Miguel Angel Fonseca. He's just not able to. He's just getting held up by McDonald here. And through the final corner, that Mercedes we've seen to be very, very fast down the front straight, and he's going to stay ahead.
He is for now, but might well get overtaken, and Force will be removed from 11th place if he doesn't move over. Miguel Angel Fonseca now in the slipstream, and there's going to be possibly a 3-wide moment coming up here. Fonseca moves to the right hand side. He's going to try and block McLaughlin in, but he's not really closing on the Mercedes. McLaughlin just lifts off going into turn number 1, and the 666 Audi hits the front in Am. Miguel Angel Fonseca is now in the front, I think pretty much for the first time this season.
Definitely for the first time this season, and McLaughlin didn't put up too much of a fight there. I don't think he thought he had to. He definitely knew that Miguel was a little bit faster, and he left him the room on the inside. But now Miguel's got the same problem that Nick did on the last lap. He's got Mark McDonald ahead, who doesn't seem to be quicker, but he's just quick enough down the straights in that Mercedes to keep ahead of him.
Yeah, the Mercedes just seem to be quite strong in a straight line. But the 666 car might just fancy a dive here now. That Dunlop corner, although stays behind here, it is a bit tight and technical. Into this chicane, although wide for the Mercedes. Now Fonseca really does have a problem on his hands, because which way does he go? He tries the outside into 13, but that's not going to work for him. McLaughlin's hit. Clayton Ham and Caleb Lehman are now closing in. We've got all kinds of different manufacturers involved. This is the battle for 11th position overall, and it's by far the biggest train in the race, and it's very stressful at the moment for those guys in the am leading battle just up in front of it. This is more cars than they want to be involved with.
And Miguel is probably going to have the same problem that Nick McLaughlin did in the last lap. He should have the draft, but unfortunately that Mercedes is so quick in a straight line that they don't seem to be able to do anything about it. But we ride on board with Nick McLaughlin here. He also doesn't seem to be much faster in a straight line than Miguel Angel Fonseca, and he can't go to the inside because he doesn't have the advantage. Miguel goes to the inside. He might finally be able to make the move on McDonald, and McLaughlin's going to try and get through too. Oh, I think they both might be clear, but McDonald again fights back, and he's going to slide in between them.
Yeah, it looks like he is, and this is a disaster now for the 62. Nick McLaughlin needs to get through as quickly as he possibly can. Through 100R, it's not going to see much success, but Clayton Ham's going to have a go in the 7 Mercedes. Nearly stuck his nose up the inside through 5, but decided not to. He waits till 6 at the hairpin. It's not a move, and 62 just goes a little bit wide to give him that little bit of space. It's very, very wide at that point, as Miguel Angel Fonseca just serves a slowdown penalty, and all his work getting through on Mark McDonald is completely undone. Clayton Ham also made a bit of a mistake through the hairpin, and he dropped behind Caleb Learmont and possibly Dave Menanoa as well. They go side by side.
This is craziness. Look at this train. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 15 cars in this train. Mark McDonald is holding everybody up here. But like I said, he's just faster in all the right places to keep these guys behind. And he's got quite an AM train behind him. There's a couple of pros. Broomhead, like I mentioned, he's also back there. This is wild stuff. But McLaughlin down the front straight again. Last lap, he peaked to the inside, but he didn't have the straight line speed. And unfortunately, it looks like this train is going to stay the way it was, at least in the top couple cars.
I think you were absolutely right. Top 15, or not top 15, but 15 cars involved in this long train. You can see making their way down towards turn number 1. In the background there's possibly a bit of move coming in the mid-pack, not towards the front, but in the mid part of this fight. Dave Menanoa is under pressure. Oh, very close. He's actually the one making moves there in the Audi. He's trying to catch all of these battles at the moment, but very difficult to do so, as one of the ASR cars of Kevin Norris just gets things a bit wrong out of turn 1. Ethan Tevetas is just behind him, although not making any move into turn 3. This is, it's a really wild battle. And I know there's 5 cars separated by 3 seconds up front for the lead of this race, but it's a very exciting fight going on back here, and this is what's going on behind into turn 1, very late on the brakes.
Very late on the brakes, but he just compromised his exit there, got a little bit loose on the curb, and then Ethan Tavetas tried to get on the attack, but couldn't quite do it. And again, everything just stays single file in this train, which continues to grow bigger and bigger. Look, watch the cars flow through here. It just keeps going and going and going. And on that shot through the final corner that we saw in the last lap, it is just absolute craziness. I knew they had fast trains in Japan, but this is a whole different type.
Yep, it's Mark McDonald still leading them. Miguel Angel Fonseca just in behind. Nick McLaughlin, Caleb Learmont, Clayton Ham, Dave Menanoa is involved here as well. Ted Lowendick recovering from that spin at turn 3. Eric Haag, Alexander Breton, Lance Loomis. It is a huge train. That's not all of them, by the way, but if I read out the name, all the names will be here all day. So it's a huge train. Look at that right hand side as we see the AM battle. Nick McLaughlin just closing in. There they are on the bottom of your screen, not making that move. Interesting what I heard last time we were on board with McLaughlin, by the way. Into turn number 1. Not only lifting off well early for the corner, but also clutching in as well. As you said, as we were kind of previewing this, there's no way anybody can do a no stop around here, but saving that little bit of fuel might just allow you to jump someone in the pit stops and ultimately win a race.
Yeah, remember back in the fixed race, Fred Galini had that extra, or whatever the opposite of extra is, in the pits. He was 1 second shorter, and that basically gave him the podium over Alec Bergstrom. So you can't make it to the end, but that's not what the fuel saving is for this week. It's going to be for that shorter pit stop, for those couple less seconds in the pits. And that might be how Nick McLaughlin has to make this move if nobody's able to advance forward in this train.
We are getting towards the point where you can make a pit stop, albeit it would be a very early one with less than half an hour to go. These guys certainly won't be thinking about it. Guillaume Levesque is too busy holding off Moises Carballo. The two of them are getting away from the field, and we're about to see a lot of change of direction, I feel, here. We've
seen it every lap. All the way down to the pit wall he usually goes, but This time he elects not to. He's got a
Now that
big
I've
enough
said it,
gap
yeah.
that he doesn't think he needs to.
Now that I've said he will change directions a million times, he does not. So that's just typical. He stays exactly on the racing line on this occasion. I think he's realised quite possibly that Wishes Carabao is actually not that interested in overtaking him at this stage, and I think it is beneficial for the two of them to just almost work together for at least the first half of the race, and once they've got a gap over the rest of the field, then they can really start to fight over the win.
And it has been working for them. You can see 2 seconds back to Drew Becker, who I really thought was going to be a bigger player in the fight for the lead, but him and Hardman, those 2 BMWs, just haven't been able to keep up with the 2 Mercs. But if Levesque and Caraballo do end up going side by side, that could very much change. And Clayton Hams brought it down pit road. I didn't see him get into trouble. Could this be an undercut strategy? There's no tires to undercut someone with, but Mark McDonald is holding up this whole train, and if Clayton Ham can get a little bit of extra clean track position, he might be able to jump the whole train.
I really like this call from Clayton Ham, actually. He was in 3rd place in the AM category. Keep an eye on his lap times when he gets out the pit lane, because he will be one to watch. As you say, no tyres to undercut these guys with, and he will have to carry more fuel for more duration of this race. However, he might just get out in clean air, and he might just jump all of these guys. Clayton Ham has found a bit of clean air as well, so just keep an eye on him throughout the next portion of this race. Andrew Hardman just trying to fight off Vincent Trepanier here. It's 2 Mercedes followed by 2 BMWs, and then another 2 Mercedes in this field at the moment, but the 87 of Trepanier would like to change that. He's one of the very best in terms of race wins in the GT3s and pole positions as well. He's right up there in all-time statistics in GT cars, although not able to make a move into here. Searching today for his 10th win in the PRL GT3. By the way, 3rd in the all-time list, tied 2nd actually in the all-time list for pole positions in GT3 and GTE cars, with 9 so far, I think. So he's clearly a very successful driver in the PRL, but looking to make season 3 of 2022 a successful one. Somebody, I think it's Dave Menanoa, isn't it?
Yeah, Dave Menano, I think he might have just gotten completely... Oh, no, he's back. That was quite a long blink, which is worrying. I hope he's able to stay in the session, but Ted Lowendick's probably hoping that the next blink is permanent.
Yeah, that would make a very easy pass for him. Wishes Caraballo wouldn't mind one of those either. Just less than 26 minutes to go for him, and it's been a fairly, I don't want to say easy race for them so far, because they're clearly doing a lot more in terms of pace than the rest of the field right now, but they haven't exactly been challenged from behind, or at least Caraballo hasn't. Levesque is feeling less and less under pressure with every lap here, because the two of them are just running in unity. A little bit of that yellow curve on the outside line. I just want to listen here going down the straight and just into the braking zone here. How much lifting off, how much fuel saving are we really seeing here? Are we looking at a Caraballo who's trying to make this pass in the pit stops? Are we going to see this on the circuit? Let's have a listen in. There it is. You heard it there, Joey. The clutch was in, and he's saving fuel.
Yeah, he could have sent it to the inside there. He could have made the move, but I think he's saving that for about 20 minutes from now. He is definitely saving fuel. And those critical tenths, those critical seconds in pit lane are probably what's going to make the difference here in both of these battles, as Miguel almost into the back of McDonald, and that's how Nick McLaughlin's going to take the lead back.
Well, I guess it's better than piling into the back of Mark McDonald there, but he does lose the lead. Miguel Angel Fonseca down to 2nd place in the 666. This is how it happened. Just misjudges this completely, gets on the brakes way too late and missed the corner completely. I think he would have missed it had the Mercedes not been there anyway. He just would have dove for the apex instead. So Nick McLaughlin's going to be all too happy to go through there. And by the way, McLaughlin, with a win today, could become all-time 2nd place in PRL wins in the GT3 and GTE Championship. He's been very successful. Obviously, you mentioned previously the Ferrari Challenge wins that he picks up, but they're still wins in a GT3 car. Looking for a bit of a different challenge here with the Audi, and he's been equally as successful, you'd say.
He has been equally as successful. 2 wins from 2 races. Looking like it could be 3 wins from 3 races, but this is the biggest challenge he's had in this season so far. From Miguel, from Caleb Lehman, who's now in 3rd, and don't forget about Clayton Ham, who brought it down pit road. I'm trying to see where he is on track right now. He's quite far back, but we'll have to do some kind of calculation to figure out how far back Clayton is. But McDonald has not been quick. The train has been the same way it's been for the past 10 minutes. So you said you like Clayton Ham's move. I like it as well. I think that's going to be a great move, and I think honestly he might have a very big lead over McLaughlin in class once the pit cycle cycles around.
Yeah, in the background there, Ted Lowendick just making a move on Dave Menanoa. Inside line for the 5 Audi, and I think Lowendick's just going to try and do the switchback here. Although he's actually just been blocked off quite, and this is scary now. With the connection problems that he's having there, it's very scary for Ted Lowendick because he does not know where that Audi's going to appear, and there you see it into turn 3, a corner that he's already had problems with. Nick McLaughlin, by the way, on this last lap did his best lap of the race, a 38.8. Clayton Ham did a 39.2, I'm afraid. So despite the fact he is in clean air, and it does look like everyone's being held up by McDonald, Clayton Ham clearly not able to go that much quicker in the clean air, missing out on maybe a bit of slipstream.
Honestly, that might be it. With that long front straight, McLaughlin's getting all that slipstream from the fast Mercedes of McDonald. So it might even out. That's how things can even out on this strategy. It was a risk from Clayton Ham. It still is a risk, but we'll only know once the pit stops come around how it truly evens out. And Ted Lowendick here, he's clearly faster than Menino. That's been such a problem for this entire race. Guys who are clearly faster just cannot find ways to make moves because they can't make up enough time on the front straight here, or they're not interested in making a move on the front straight either. But we'll see again. Lowendick on the exit, he's just too far back. It's like 6/10 down the front straight, and that's just too big of a gap to make up with the draft alone.
Yeah, that is a way too big of a gap to be making a move into turn number 1. Lowendick needs to be much, much closer than that, and I think he knows it. A lot of weaving around going on in the background there to try and make sure they don't fall afoul of the pit lane rules in terms of the entry line there. This is really scary for Ted Lowendick. You just see Menanoa just blinking a little bit in front of him. It's not ideal, and it's not particularly comforting to see for Lowendick there in this battle for 15th position. We're going to go further back up front though, because Drew Becker's been under pressure for this race. He's got Hartman, Trepanier and Waring in close attendance at this stage. It's a nice battle for 4th place, but they do continue to lose time to the top 2.
And Andrew Waring's done a good job at closing this gap down. He's joined this Drew Becker train for 3rd. Trepanier hasn't been able to make the move on Hartman. He's been behind Hartman for so many laps. He's been stuck behind him. But even though the Mercedes does appear to be the faster car in a straight line, even in an open setup series, look at him trying to peek around the outside, trying to maximize the exit here. But that BMW, that's an incredible run through the final corner, and it's a very interesting run through the final corner. He was hugging the inside line for a lot longer than he normally would, and now you'll see the difference in straight line speed between the Mercedes and the BMW, and Vincent Trepanier just doesn't go for the move. He just sticks behind him. I think it's another fuel-saving game, or not. He peeks out. Is this going to be it? Has he just proved me wrong as soon as I talk about it? Yes, he has, and there goes Vincent finally through.
It did look like he was going to stay behind briefly, but then he did go for the move. Andrew Waring looks like he's going to try and follow through as well on Hartman, who's not going to be pleased about this. Inside line for turn 3. It's a brave one around the outside, off the road, admittedly, on the entry to 100R, but that was an equally impressive move from Andrew Waring there in the 30 to make his way inside the top 5 for the first time today, as Miguel Angel Fonseca has had a problem here into turn number 1. He drops to 3rd in Ammon, drops outside into 17th position in the overall race as well. That's really disappointing for him. He was having a great run.
It's a big slowdown. I want to see where it came from. Did he cut the inside, or did he just drive too far outside McLaughlin? Oh, he cut the inside. That's such a... Oh, he didn't get a slowdown. He just slowed himself down. That's what happened there. And that's just tragic consequences for Miguel. He's off the podium. He's out of the fight for the win. And now McLaughlin's got a pretty big lead over everybody else in class.
He has, back to the old pattern of these races for the 62 of Nick McLaughlin. He's now well out front by just over a second. Caleb Lehman is there in the Ferrari. And we've obviously got to factor in Clayton Ham yet as well, but So we don't want to give this race to McLaughlin already, but he is leading at the moment and he is in control once again as he tries to possibly make this move on Mark McDonald, although I do feel like he's kind of happy to be there at the moment. Just wants to save that little bit of fuel as well, much like Moises Caraballo was doing in that battle for the lead. Battle for 11th, it's a very similar situation going on. I don't think Nick McLaughlin really wants to go through. We'll find out into turn 1. Seems to be close enough, but doesn't want to make his way through. And straight line speed is becoming a problem for that 666 because of the damage that is on that car. Another 2 cars that go through at him.
That's got to be additional damage that he got, because I don't think he got that damage from cutting the inside curb. We'll have to see if he got into another driver somewhere. But remarkably, he is still 3rd. I thought he'd fallen down to about 7th in class with that mistake, but no, he's still 3rd. It's still a podium for Miguel despite that mistake, but we'll see if we can see what happened. Here it is. So did he get damage from running over that curb on the inside? Was it that aggressive, or did he get into the back of McLaughlin or McDonald when we didn't see it? Let's watch here.
He looks like he already has the damage from the off-board cameras. So, and it looked like he did before, so while he was in the slipstream, we really didn't notice, because in terms of the actual speed of the car, because it didn't really affect him, but once he lost the slipstream there, he got absolutely mauled by a couple of cars. It was Lance Loomis and Kevin Norris, by the way, who came through in him. He didn't really have the slipstream at the time, and so he just lost out dramatically. So he remains 3rd in AM, but he continues to lose places in the overall. Now 19th, not that it really matters. Let's carry on watching here for a little bit longer to see if there is any more damage maybe picked up, but it just looks like maybe that existing damage is doing enough harm at this stage. There he is, just losing the back of that train, and it seems to be straight line speed what he's struggling for, and there it is.
It's been the night of phantom damage tonight. In this race, we don't know where it came from for Miguel. In the last race, it was Danik Van Daly who clearly got into somebody. Must have been on the first lap.
He's about 5k down on the straight there. It's about 2 or 3 miles an hour for those of you who don't use kilometres an hour. So it will do enough down a straight like that. One of the longest front straights in all of motorsports is here at Fuji. And that will be certainly holding Fonseca back. Oh, and a big slide through 100R as well. Wow, he did well to hang on to it, but he will lose more time, and you'll be sure now that he's going to struggle to hold on to the top 3 now. Have a look at this moment though. This is huge.
Through 100R, everything looks perfectly fine, and then it just all falls apart. Big wiggle, but it was a decent save, and then through turn 6, just has to save it again. He gets away with it, but he is clearly fighting here. He wants to make up all this time that he's lost, and he might be getting a little bit over-aggressive. But here's that fight for the lead again. And again, Caraballo's so close. He's going to get under a 10th here. Is this the lap that he's finally going to go for the move? No, of course not.
Nope. 15 minutes to go. Now, if you remember back to last race, 15 laps was the limit. However, they've got 10% more fuel this time. So they might be able to go to lap 17 if they can really push it, or maybe even further. To be honest, let's find out. Not 10% more fuel. That's completely incorrect, isn't it? It sort of is in a little bit. But anyway, I'm trying to
25% more fuel, I think.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. There we are. Thank you. I'm glad you're here to set me straight. 3 or 4 more laps in that case. So 18 or 19 laps is going to be the real limit, but expect to see some drivers in relatively soon, really. Clayton Ham, whatever his lap time's like, he is up to 34th overall, by the way, still 16th in the AM category. Did a 39.9 last time. McLaughlin going quite a lot quicker than him, so this early stop from the 7 car, it's a great idea, but I don't think it's worked.
I don't think it has, and the fact that McLaughlin's gotten through McDonald, as you just saw, that's not going to help either. But McLaughlin hasn't actually been able to run away from McDonald as much as I thought he would. He's getting away a little bit, but McDonald's still very much there with him. So we slandered Mark a little bit. We said he was going slow, and he was. He's pulled a 10-second gap between him and 10th place, but clearly the AMs don't have that much extra speed in it, because that gap is basically staying where it was between 10th and 11th.
On board with Qucknin, another VR user. just in that 4th place at the moment. Just missed out on a podium last time out. And it looks like he might well do again here to Miguel Angel Fonseca it was last week. And at the moment, it's the Mexican who's taking that position from him. But Nin's got a real good chance here today because of the damage to that Audi of maybe closing in and maybe taking a first podium of the season. Could see another VR user though in the series. Looking up there, I don't know what he's looking at in the top right. Probably be some sort of timing or something, I guess, in the top right. He'll have something up there. You can, of course, customise your UI, so you can put the stuff wherever you want it. And just having a quick glance up the straight there. Just less than 13 minutes to go though, and definitely a chance, probably the best chance of any that Quacknin has got to get a podium this season.
And the gap's coming down. He's in the 138s, and Miguel is only able to run about 139.3. So Quacknin clearly quicker, but the podium still lurks, and passing Miguel Angel Fonseca has proven to be somewhat difficult when he's not making mistakes. So we'll see what happens there. But the battle for the lead continues to rage on again, and these guys have to bring it down pit road soon. And I don't know what the move is. Do you come in, if you're Moises Caraballo, do you come in with Guillaume Levesque and just try and beat him out of the pits? Or do you go that extra lap, use that clean track, run the fastest lap you possibly can, and jump him? I don't know which way he's going to go, and I don't think he knows either. I think he's waiting to decide until Levesque finally makes the move.
I think Levesque is going to make things difficult for him in the on-track stakes, but here he goes, down the inside, it's late on the brakes, Levesque goes under the nose there and goes for the cutback, it's well executed. Will he get clear before turn 3 though, because you don't really want to be on the outside here. Side by side between the two race winners so far in this championship, it's around the outside for the Triple Eight, and they still go side by side. He's got the inside for 100R, which surely is going to give him the place. Side by side for Caraballo, who tries to go around the outside, and inside for the hairpin. He very nearly gets his nose down there, and Levesque gives him the room. So Caraballo is going to try and use it to just accelerate and maybe have a move here into Dunlop Corner. He's done all the saving that he needs to do. Now he's starting to do the attacking. Inside line is open here into the corner, and he goes for it late on the brakes, and he pulls it up in time. Guillaume Levesque has no answer, and we have a new leader finally. Moises Caraballo makes the move.
What a move into turn 10, so much later on the brakes. That was an incredible move, but now does Levesque elect to come in? He's been passed. I think if there's ever a time to come in, now is that time, unless he wants to go back on the attack and retake the lead, and he's going to try and retake the lead to the final corner. Caraballo. And he gets it.
He got completely out of shape there, did Caraballo, and he left the room almost unintentionally. Levesque now and Caraballo going to run absolutely neck and neck. Thankfully, this isn't the run to the line for the finish. Otherwise, it would be mighty, mighty close. You can just see the photo finish. It would be probably go to Levesque by about 200ths of a second, but they've still got more than 10 minutes to go here. Outside line for Caraballo into turn number 1. Levesque did a great over and under here last lap. Is Caraballo going to do it as well? Not quite. He gets all over that curb and he won't be able to get through, so Levesque retakes the lead. What they are doing though, Joe, he's losing a lot of time. 2.5 seconds now to Trepanier, and Drew Becker and Brisson, also seeing this, have decided to come in as well.
And this is great for Drew Becker, because those last 2 laps for Levesque and Caraballo, they were fighting so hard, they were in the 140s, so they've lost a ton of time. And Drew Becker, he is very much on track. He could be able to jump some of these guys. Here he is, leaving pit lane, a full 10 seconds in the pits, so not the quickest stop in the world, but if he can drive forward here in clean air, and Levesque and Caraballo keep fighting, Caraballo goes for the move again.
Wow. And
these two are still slowing each other down.
Yeah, exactly. Levesque gave him the room there because Cabarro was out of control there for a moment. He nearly went sailing into his fellow Mercedes. So this race is all coming back together now with these two battling. They tried to get away from the rest of the field by working together in the first 3 quarters of this one, and it's all fallen apart. The cooperation has broken down entirely, and now it's a straight fist fight between the two of them. Through the final corner for Levesque, what's the pit game going to be between these two? It looks like Caraballo is coming in. On this occasion, Levesque is going to follow him in. Is Caraballo going to dummy him and go out again? He does not. The two of them follow one another into the pit lane. There's going to be some commitment here, actually. into tries to get slowed up in time. Let's hope they all did. Oh, Andrew Waring was very close there as well. Everybody shaving hundreds and thousands of a second off their time wherever they can.
And now we just wait. The differences in the amount of fuel. How many tenths of a liter are you putting in? How many tenths of a gallon are you putting in? How can you beat the guy in front of you out of the pits? That's going to be the game here. Levesque brings it down into his box. Caraballo does as well. Trepanier, Waring, everybody cleanly into pit road. And it's just the waiting game now. Couple more seconds and you'll see them all pop out.
I think Caraballo's going to have a short stop here, although Levesque has a pretty short stop as well, and it's actually Trepanier and Waring who have gained a bit of time here. Guillaume Levesque has got a bit of a margin here, and it might be an unassailable one. Nearly 2 seconds, and I don't know quite how he did that really, but he has done. He's saved a second in the stop as McLaughlin comes out the pit lane right now. Where's Caleb Learmont? He's nowhere to be seen by the things. There he is on the straight. He's not going to overtake McLaughlin. It looks like it's going to be a third win on the bounce for the AM Championship leader. There he's making his way out of turn number 1 with just 7.5 minutes to go. But very impressive from Guillaume Levesque there to come in with pretty much nose to tail with Caraballo, and he's come out with nearly 2 seconds of a lead.
And you would think it would be Caraballo who would be taking the shorter pit stop because he was in the draft for so long, saving fuel. But no, here it is. You see Waring as well on the attack. He's up into third now overall. And Drew Becker, it has not worked out for him at all. He was just in pit lane for far too long, for 10 full seconds. And all those seconds have just dropped him down to about 7th place. But here's that pit entry for Waring. Very, very aggressive, very late in the brakes, almost into the back here of Trepanier. But I think he did get it slowed down, and he kept it out of his fellow Mercedes. So well done, Waring, but that was about the limit.
Well, how he didn't speed there is completely beyond me, because that was commitment, and it paid off in the end. Michelin Green, by the way, is the final driver to come into the pit lane of those in the lead. He just makes his way out of his box now. 8.5 seconds roughly in the box. Levesque overtakes him. Probably Caraballo will as well, who'll drop himself into that fight you can see on the right hand side. As things stand, probably behind Brisson maybe, although he's actually going to get out in front of some of these. Horvath is going to make his way around the outside. There he goes. Although it's a late dive from Ian Green, and he will make up back into 8th position. Horvath, I think, almost scared off the road there. Will drop back down to 8th position for the reigning series champion, of course, but it's really not been a season to remember here so far.
Hasn't yet, and his teammate Drew Becker is 2 spots ahead, so Becker's fallen from the fight for third to about 4 seconds behind Vincent Trepanier in third. So that battle is not, or that strategy move has not worked out whatsoever. Michelin Green here, the move of going 1 extra lap has worked out for him, because I believe he was 9th before that pit stop, and it's only one's position, but 1 position's more than 0, as I say. And he's well ahead of Devin Horvath here, and he's got a lower fuel load, and he should be able to move ahead here.
He should. Andrew, mash in the names here. Andrew Waring and Vincent Trepanier looks like they're going to have a bit of a fight here in the next few moments. Battle for third. Just 5 minutes to go, but I think 4 laps by the looks of things. The pace these guys are going at should be 4 more laps to go to make it 25 by the end. By the way, fastest lap currently is going to go to Andrew Waring. You can just see here in the 30. He'll try and make his way onto the podium here, quite possibly. Let's see if he can manage it. Not particularly been a successful season so far, although it was a podium last time out at Long Beach. Looking to repeat that with this move down the inside at turn 1. And it's a nice move. Not only, well, I say that, he goes wildly off the road out of turn 1, but he does have the plates at least.
He does have the place, and it's not a slowdown if you go that wide out there, which is good news for Waring. But the battle for, not for the battle for the lead, but it's lap traffic for Caraballo. He just drove through one of the other ASR Mercedes, whoever that was who had trouble. But the battle rages on for third as well, and Waring's going to run into that same lap traffic, who happens to be, or maybe he did get a slowdown after all, or maybe that was just a mistake, I don't know, but Waring's got to remake the move now into turn 10, and Trepanier's not going to make it as easy as the last one was.
No, he's trying not to anyway. Into Dunlop corner. He successfully defends on that occasion. An ASR teammate just up in front here, as you say. Just get the heart racing a little bit when you do see a lap car in the same livery, but no panic. Just a lap car at the moment. These teams trying to expect us to pick these cars apart by different colours of wing mirrors, as I can see there. As down the inside comes Andrew Waring, making a decisive move into turn 16, but it's not quite conclusive just for the moment. Side by side, and the two of them are going to run absolutely neck and neck down the entire straight by the looks of things, although Trapani has a bit of a better run and will get his car in front.
He will, but Waring, remember what he did on the last lap? Dove it to the inside. Does Trepanier defend here? There's only 3 minutes left, so if he wants the podium, he's going to have to defend. Oh, it was a little bit too late. Waring already made the move. 3 wide with the lap car almost to throws it off the road to give the leaders room, or the lead lappers room, and Waring can't make the move.
I think he was a little bit tentative, given the fact that there were 3 cars going 3 wide down in towards turn number 1 there. Didn't really want to be a particular part of that on that occasion, and so just stayed behind for now. Decides to live another day. Battle for third will probably be the main entertainment for the remainder, as Trapanier goes off again through the hairpin, 6 and 7, and now around this sweeping right-hander. He's going to have to go on the defensive here, although he retakes the racing line once again into Dunlop corner, sort of. Protects the inside line first though, and Waring will stay behind. Just a nice run out of there. No room to go for it really into turn 13. He's going to wait until these final sector corners where the inside line really does open itself up. Will we see a dive here into the final corner for the second lap in a row?
Well, it worked out for him, or it almost worked out for him on the last lap, but I think Trepanier knows that he doesn't want that to happen again. He defends to the inside, but that works out in Waring's favor because he's able to take the optimal line, and Trepanier snakes down to the inside, but that's not going to be enough to hold off Waring, who gets to his side. It's going to be 2 laps to go here, and these two are not going to stop fighting.
They're going to fight right till the very end in these final 2 laps. Over the line, it's Waring who has it at the line. He's going to try and get the inside line and try and get in front of Trapanier, but he's not able to. Inside line for the 87. It's late on the brakes, but he pulls it up nicely, and Waring is able to go nowhere. Out of the corner, he's going to try and make this move into 3. Inside line here is normally the advantage, but he decides not to have a dive. He's going to wait just a little bit longer. Probably the right decision. A better opportunity will come up later on.
That was so smart by Waring not to make that low percentage move into turn 3. That would have ended in tears for both of them. He wouldn't be completely alongside.
Oh no!
Oh, but Trepanier loses it.
Trapanier goes around at turn 6 and outside the top 5 as well. Look how many cars are coming here. Even Devon Horvath and Michelin Green are going to be past him here if he's not careful. It was just a spin completely on his own. There was no contact from Waring at all, just completely lost it on the entry, and once it was going, it was gone.
It's the same thing we've seen so many times tonight in the fixed series. He just got a little bit loose on the entry, and there was no saving it after he lost it on the curb. Still in the top 10, but it's P7, and that's going to be very disappointing for him, but Levesque is going to take the white flag here. Or no, yeah, white flag.
It will be. Not the checkered flag, unfortunately for Guillaume Levesque. Has he got enough fuel to complete an extra lap? Let's hope so. But given his fuel antics at Long Beach last time around, I would imagine he will be able to get to the end. Over the line, white flag taken by Guillaume Levesque, who's going to have a bit of a tour of Fuji. Here, he's going to be able to have a lap of honour, pretty much, and just enjoy this win. Second win, of course, from the one that he got at Long Beach last week, side by side further behind. Vincent Trapanier is not quite done yet. He's losing another place here to Devon Horvath, who goes steaming down his inside.
Too far back. I thought he might try and replicate the Waring move into turn 3, but he's not able to. But he's definitely quicker than Horvath. But can he make the move is the question. He's got to make sure he doesn't make that same mistake through turn 6. It was just pushing too hard that caused that. And he's got to make sure he doesn't repeat that, trying to drive his way back up through the field. Much more conservative through turn 6, much more planted. But again, there's a lap car. That's Alexandre Breton, who's going to get out of the way here of his teammate, of Devon Horvath as well. But it's still too far back for Trepanier, I think.
It is certainly into Dunlop. Let's see if the final sector really opens up anything. Drew Becker trying to recover from that poor pit stop there, I'm afraid, in 5th position. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Andrew Hartmann will probably be able to hold on there. Guillaume Levesque will certainly hold on here. It's another race win for the AAA. ASR Esports once again on top. Mercedes once again on top. And round 3 of the GT3 Sprint Series of the Precision Racing League is going to go to Guillaume Levesque. His 2nd win in 2 weeks. This time it was on pure pace. A little bit of strategy involved, but not as much as last week. It was much more on-track racing. He holds off Moises Caraballo, who comes home 2nd, and if Andrew Waring, who's on the podium, Andrew Hartmann will be 4th ahead of Drew Becker, rounding out the top 5. Vincent Trepanier falls to 8th position after that late spin. It's Nick McLaughlin behind as well, who will come across the line now to win in Am for the 3rd week in a row. He now becomes tied 2nd in the all-time GT3 GTE race winners list. A very, very successful driver in these types of cars, and even in the Audi, which he's relatively new to.
And it was such a close fight at the beginning behind Mark McDonald, but here's Caven Norris coming to the line. I think he might be almost out of gas, but he does bring it to the line. 15th in class. It was a promising day to start for Norris. Oh, he's not out of fuel. There was an incident in the last lap with Miguel Angel Fonseca, who was on the podium in AM. Did they come together? Oh, it was behind him. So Miguel survives, but in the final corner, Caven Norris just a little bit not leaving enough room on the inside there. And Corey Precker crosses the line for another solid result in AM as well.
Yeah, it was Corey Precker. Miguel Angel Fonseca, by the way, first time off the podium this season for him. First time off the podium as well in the category for Ryan Patrick, who does not finish 2nd for the 3rd week in a row. This is a bit of a photo finish going on here in the AM category. It's over 16th position. Luke Davis is trying to get through on Patrick Calgo at the moment. David Moore's just in front, but not going to be able to do it here over that position. So they stay where they are back there in the AM category. These guys were only just in front of Levesque, by the way, not too far in front of getting lapped in that 40-minute race. Let's have a quick look at the results then before we get into our final driver interviews of the night. It's a 2nd race win in 2 weeks for Guillaume Levesque, who now extends a championship lead that is growing for him. Moises Caraballo will consolidate his 2nd place in that one with a 2nd place here. Andrew Waring rounds out the podium with Andrew Hartmann, the first of the non-Mercedes. Drew Becker rounding out the top 5. Michelin Green was 6th ahead of Devin Horvath. Vincent Trepanier with that late spin slips to 8th ahead of Tommy Brisson, and the AM winner, Nick McLaughlin, in 10th. 11th position is going to be Mark McDonald, who he spent much of the race behind. Eric Harger was 12th ahead of Dave Melanoa. Caleb Lehrman 2nd in AM and 14th overall ahead of Lance Loomis, rounding out the top 15. Kwok Nin rounds out your podium in AM there ahead of Clayton Hab with that alternative strategy. He just beat out Miguel Angel Fonseca to that position by only 91 thousandths of a second. Brett Furman and Colin McKenzie round out your top 20. Caven Norris was 21st ahead of Corey Precker. Ethan Tevitas was 23rd ahead of Christopher Breens. Marc-Andre Desjardins was 25th ahead of Robert Ridgway. Nick Horvath next ahead of Jonathan Waiter, who slipped to 17th in Pro despite a good start. Laurent Christophe Deroulé was 29th ahead of Alex Wright, rounding out the top 30. There's so many other cars to pick through. Hilton, Lowendick, Heffernan, Morse, Cowgill and Davis rounding out those on the lead lap. Amaro and Bush, the third, were both just off the lead lap. Alexander Breton did get to the end, as did Ryan Patrick, but they were multiple laps down in that one. Sean Mulholland at 41st, and there are the other retirees here today from this race. Let's take a look and an interview with our race winner then, shall we? Guillaume Levesque joining us for the 2nd time in 2 weeks, because he's won in the 2nd time in 2 weeks. Guillaume, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here once again. Fuji Speedway, obviously pretty kind to you on this occasion. A little bit of a different race win to what we saw at Long Beach. What was your feeling throughout that fight with Moises Caraballo there? Did you ever feel like, obviously, you weren't going to win that race? Were you pretty confident throughout your fight? What were you feeling?
I was not like 100% because he was there, like right there. I knew he was saving, so I kind of did too. So just to be sure to not be jumped in the pit. So I think I did a pretty good job there. And I went full send into the pin 10-3 and got the gap for the rest of the race, and that was it.
Absolutely. I mean, a new circuit, of course, here, Fuji Speedway. You're in the new Mercedes as well. Lots of new things going on. But how is this circuit in this car? How have you been feeling this week driving it, of course?
The car is really good on this track. The Beamer was the preferred car this week in officials. I didn't do a lot of official this week. I did a lot of pickup on Fuji. It was the same track, so I knew really well the track. So it was just like switching to the Merc and just going on. And yeah, that was really fun combo this week. I really love the track.
It was indeed fun to watch you out there as well here tonight. Congratulations on the win there, Guillaume, and we look forward to seeing you over the next few weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much. Guillaume Levesque there, winner in Pro here after 25 laps at Fuji Speedway tonight. Now, AM winner Joey, Nick McLaughlin is coming up now, and I believe you're with him now to have a quick chat.
Well, Nick McLaughlin, welcome back to the booth. Another AM win and another win on the season. 3 in a row now. That's got to feel pretty good.
It's especially this one. I didn't think I'd be anywhere in this position this week. The Audi it struggled, man. I'm sweating.
I knew Japan had pretty fast trains, but that train at the start of the race was pretty crazy. Mark McDonald, then you, then Miguel, then about 20 cars behind you. How crazy was that?
Yeah, it was something. I know I sat behind Mark and fuel saved as best I could. I didn't think I was quicker than him, and those Mercedes are so planted through the whole track. Anytime I'd gain, he'd just pull away, so there was no point really trying to get by him.
Well, I won't ask you to do what you did last week on the F3 broadcast, but it is another win. What's the celebration going to be this time? There's no maple syrup. I don't know what's in Japan. Cherry blossoms? They make cherry blossom syrup?
Yeah, we could try and find something. I got nothing on hand this week, unfortunately, but maybe we'll brew something fun up for F3 again if it happens.
Well, we'll wait and see that. And I like the PRL shirt, company man representing.
Thanks, man.
Nick McLaughlin, your AM winner again for the third time this week, or for the third time this season. And second place this week was Moises Caraballo in Pro, who's back with Ewan.
Yeah, absolutely. Moises Caraballo just going to join us now. Moises, good to have you here. Second place here today. A little bit disappointed, maybe, not to be able to take the win. Are you a little bit surprised, maybe, you got jumped so much in the pit stop as well?
Yeah, I was very surprised. The pace of Guy was impressive. He's a very good guy, and I was thinking I'm saving fuel for the pit stop, but no, he was saving more fuel than me. He's amazing, man. Congrats for him to the win.
Yeah, very impressive drive from him. Also from you, to be fair, second place once again. Obviously, not quite your day at Long Beach, but you had a great run out at Hockenheim as well. How do you feel like this season has been going so far overall? Are you pleased with your start to the season?
Yeah, I'm positive. I think I have to work, but I will be positive for the rest of the season. I will be here, and I can beat him, I know.
We look forward to seeing you over the next few weeks, Moises. It's been great to have you here once again. Congratulations on second place, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Thanks very much. Moises Caraballo, second place here today at Fuji Speedway. Third place, not too far behind him at all in this race here today, was Andrew Waring. We'll bring him in now as well. Andrew, good to have you here as well. Welcome to the commentary booth. Third place here today for you, managing to get in front of some of those pesky BMWs that were causing you a bit of trouble throughout the day. Was a podium a realistic aspiration of yours going into today, or were you just looking to get round, really?
Yeah, really just looking to get round. We were struggling with setup. We didn't get a lot of time on this track, and I just had to buy this track for this round, so it was kind of all new. And yeah, honestly, I was pretty happy with 7th in qualifying, and then I got a really good start, and then I made a couple mistakes, and I was kind of already falling back, and people were all over me, so I just kind of figured I'd fall back. But then, I don't know, all of a sudden, I think maybe 10, 12 laps in, my car just finally switched on, and it was really good from there to the end of the race, and I was able to catch up and pick them off. So crazy. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, you talked there about having to buy this circuit, of course, very new one, of course. But what is the real challenge of this circuit? What did you find quite so much in terms of difficulty around here?
Definitely finding the balance. The car has never felt as loose as it did around this track, and just talking to the Mr. First and Mr. Second there, I was clearly running a lot less swing than some of them, which is my fault for not testing a lot, but that just made the car a bit of a handful. And it was a fun race, so the track definitely created some weird problems, but I think it produced a good race, which is really all I care about. So really happy with it.
It did produce a good race and a good result for you as well. Congratulations on third place here today, Andrew, and we look forward to seeing you over the next few weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much. Andrew Waring there, third place overall and in pro here today. One final interview, also from third place, this time in the AM category. Kwok Nin now joining us here today. Kwok, good to have you here, and you must be very pleased with that third position there, finally getting onto the podium this season. Can we? I'm not sure we can hear Kwok at the moment. We're just having a couple. There we are. Can we hear? Can we get you now, Kwok? Doesn't look like it for the moment. Can't hear. But we're just filling. Oh, there we are.
Don't think my stuff is working.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, now I can hear you guys. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Yeah, just talking about that third place for you here today. You must be very pleased getting on the podium. What are your feelings after that race?
Going throughout the race, I didn't know if I was going to be on the podium or not. I had my overlays or my standings up, but it was hard to tell where all the AMs were. So I was just cruising around, just racing as fast as I could, trying to get the highest position I could.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw you obviously in that VR headset throughout the day. We had the face cam up and everything. What's it like driving this particular circuit in VR? Do you feel like it particularly helped you actually throughout this particular circuit, or is it not really a big advantage?
I definitely think that it did. When I first started practicing on this track, I didn't know where to look. But Fuji really has like markers where you can look at as you're turning the corner, and I don't. Those little orange markers on the the grill rails or the fences. Looking at those really helped steer my car and position my car on the track.
Absolutely, and third place for you today is a great result. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing you again over the next few weeks.
All right, thank you for hosting.
Thanks very much there. Kwok Nin, third place in the AM category here today at Fuji. That is it for the interviews. That's it from us here tonight. Here, Joe, it's been a great night of racing. Once again, the GT3 series, the GT3 cars once again delivering great races.
It was a fantastic race, and that battle between Levesque and Caraballo, that was an incredible battle, and I think it's only going to be better next week, because we're going to Watkins Glen, we're going to the boot layout, the same layout that the GT4s were on last week, and that was honestly probably the best PRL race of the season in any series, so I cannot wait to go to Watkins Glen next week. It's my favorite track in the country, it's the best track in the country, and it's just so good. I could go on about it forever.
No bias there at all either. One week to go until we get to the Watkins Glen boot race. 2 races, normal format will be coming up, same time, same place, 20:08 ET. Make sure you join us again for those couple of races. Make sure you join us tomorrow night here on RaceSpotTV as well. We've got Wednesday night and Thursday night racing coming up here on RaceSpotTV from the Precision Racing League. So make sure you join us for that as well. That's it from us here tonight though, here at Fuji Speedway. A new circuit to the iRacing service, but delivering no new winners, I'm afraid, in the Open Series. It's Guillaume Levesque and Nick McLaughlin once again having their day here. From me, Ewan O'Leary, Joey Tevin alongside me, Conor Maddock behind the cameras. It's goodbye for now.